Sergeant firearm or shooting, not sure which. And just intel at Dallas. All I heard gunshots and people screaming.
28-year-old rapper Takeoff is shot and killed at a private party in Houston, Texas. Officials say it happened in the early morning hours of November 1st at a bowling alley in the city's downtown. Officials say Takeoff, whose real name is Kershnik Kari Ball, was shot in the head or neck. He was pronounced dead at the scene. In emergency audio released after the shooting, dispatchers can be heard saying 5 shots were fired.
There's 5 shots fired from downstairs outside near 2004.
Officials with the Houston Police Department say between 40 and 50 people were at the private party that ended at about 1 o'clock in the morning. More than an hour later, at 2:40 a.m., dispatch received a call about the deadly shooting.
The people next door are calling in about discharging firearms.
According to TMZ, Takeoff and fellow Migos rapper Quavo were playing dice when a fight broke out. After that, someone opened fire. Quavo was not injured, but 2 other people were. Police say they were taken to nearby hospitals in private vehicles. Right now, their conditions are unknown.
He's going to check out 22B23 1212 Grand Plaza for discharging firearms.
Investigators on the scene found multiple shell casings on the 3rd level of the building outside of the bowling and pool hall. From here, investigators say they will look at surveillance video of the scene to determine what led up to the shooting. Takeoff and the group Migos rose to fame after their 2013 hit Versace was released. Takeoff was the youngest member of the group. Quavo was his uncle, and 3rd member Offset was his cousin. For the latest developments in this story and all things true crime, stay with Law and Crime Network.
What's wrong with you people? Let me ask you a question. Is there any other genre of music where artists get killed to this level? Because I know y'all have been to college. Y'all say black on black crime is not real. White folk invented that. And black men do not die at gun violence at higher rates than Europeans. Asians kill Asians. Europeans kill Europeans, and that's what it is. Most people kill their neighbor, and their neighbor looks like them. That's what y'all tell me. I don't know, cause I dropped out of school. But y'all college folk know that. So there's no such thing as black on black crime. White folk in the media invented that. Let me ask y'all a question. Do Jews run America, or do Jews run the world? That's a trick question. But I want to talk about this crime for a minute. I want to talk about this crime. Do country folk do this? Do gospel artists do this? In what genre of music? Do businessmen, do Wall Street people on the level that these are artists? Is it dangerous to be a rapper these days? And why is that? Is it the power of mute? Is it the power of the spoken word and vibrations? And this is what they're putting out. So this is what they're getting back because they put out frequencies of freaking and murder and letting them things go. I need some help. I need some help right here on this one. I'm gonna play this again whilst folk coming in and we're gonna talk about stuff. I'm really gonna get to Babylon and Timbuktu and some stuff vocab been saying in light of all of this stuff, because it doesn't hit the mainstream. And y'all are going to hear me refer to these good folk as Black Hebrew Israelites. That's what the media's been doing.
Discharging firearms or shooting, not sure which. And just intel at Dallas. All I heard gunshots and people.
All right, wait a minute now. Y'all see, Red Letter, what's good with you? Red Letter said, if you live by the sword, you'll die by the sword. Now that's beef, because everybody's saying, I don't know if he wasn't even known. Some people come from that life, but apparently it don't seem like he come from that life. Like he ain't been up top. He ain't been I don't think he been in the federal penitentiary. He wasn't known as a hitter in the streets, or I don't know. Everybody say he was just a cool, regular, peaceful dude. We also know that a lot of these people rap about stuff, they don't even live it. Who got these folk promoting this lifestyle? And they don't even come from that lifestyle. These dudes ain't even felons. These dudes don't let them things. These dudes ain't killers. A lot of these dudes never sold drugs. They never been in the trap house. Is something going on here that's a little deeper than we think. I'm not putting conspiracies out. Oh no, I can't even talk good because I see these other folk in here. I'm gonna let it play.
Screaming.
28-year-old rapper Takeoff is shot and killed at a private party in Houston, Texas. Officials say it happened in the early morning hours of November 1st at a bowling alley in the city's downtown. Officials say Takeoff, whose real name is Kershnik Kari Ball, was shot in the head or neck. He was pronounced dead at the scene. In emergency audio released after the shooting, dispatchers can be heard saying 5 shots were fired.
There's 5 shots fired from downstairs outside near 2004.
Officials with the Houston Police Department say between 40 and 50 people were at the private party that ended at about 1 o'clock in the morning. More than an hour later, at 2:40 a.m., dispatch received a call about the deadly shooting.
The people next door are calling in about discharging firearms.
According to TMZ, Takeoff and fellow Migos rapper Quavo were playing dice when a fight broke out. After that, someone opened fire. Quavo was not injured, but 2 other people were. Police say they were taken to nearby hospitals in private vehicles. Right now, their conditions are unknown.
He's going to check out 22B23 1212 Grand Plaza for discharging firearms.
Investigators on the scene found multiple shell casings on the 3rd level of the building outside of the bowling and pool hall. From here, investigators say they will look at surveillance video of the scene to determine what led up to the shooting. Takeoff and the group Migos rose to fame after their 2013 hit Versace was released. Takeoff was the youngest member of the group. Quavo was his uncle, and 3rd member Offset was his cousin. For the latest developments in this story and all things true crime, stay with Law and Crime Network. I'm Sierra Gillespie.
I'm Lee Zeldin.
All right, let me stop there. Listen to this right here. The black community has not always been this way. Maybe here and there, but the late 60s, it took a turn for the worse. Now, remember, rap music wasn't out in the 60s. A lot of people had dope problems in the 60s. The streets were flooded with dopes in certain communities. Some people feel guys went to Vietnam and came back, and then they started, the drug epidemic and all of this other stuff. But we could discuss that. So my question is why? Let me stop this right here and bring up this other thing, and then we're going to get into the main thing for this lunchtime discussion right here. Fair use.
Human element first before we do anything. I spoke to this young man's mother just an hour ago. Flew in here from out of town. I want everybody to understand the pain, the suffering of a mother. Very tough. And I told her, as we stand with any victim of violence or any homicide victim, their family, we stand with them.
I'm sorry, I had to stop that. Listen to this old ignorant defender the truth said. Let the blaming other people begin. Do some folk that look like me blame other folk for everything more than different cultures? Is that a fair question? Robert M., what's good with you, brother? Is that a fair question? Blaming, because I know y'all getting ready to get on the Illuminati, the Freemasons, the Jews are controlling my mind, soul, and my body, and y'all getting ready to run amok. And what's so crazy is, and even talking about the Jewish execs and all of that stuff, and all of this, and our people, because of what our people listen to, and because of Christianity, and because of the Christmas tree, y'all are different. Y'all are different. We might as well just put it all on the table now. Yeah, now some people say it. I know it's not our fault, and this is what other people are doing to us. But is there a level of responsibility that we don't take in our community? And how come we ain't canceling these rappers that's talking that killer talk? That's talking that bust your gun, fornicate, sell drugs in the community. How come we don't cancel them? How come we don't cancel them, y'all? That's not a fair question. Fair you.
in this city, in this police department, and everybody that's standing behind me. I want to thank our homicide unit.
Because if we really loved righteousness, we ain't glorifying no pimps. And y'all know we've been doing that. Y'all done read that Iceberg Slim. That's the number one reader in prison. And a lot of brothers from around the way been in the penitentiary. That's the number one. We've been looking up the pimps. I know they're gonna say, well, Italians, they looked up the John Gotti and the mobsters. We been glorifying some stuff. Nah, y'all don't want to talk about that. Y'all want to talk scripture and take scripture out of context and blame white folk. I shouldn't have said that.
Under the direction of Commander Spears for doing great work time and time again. I'm going to speak briefly, and I'm going to turn it over to the homicide investigator Arrington. After he speaks, I'm going to get Commander Garcia to come up and translate in Spanish, and he'll go over some of the investigative parts. But let me speak to this just right. We understand and we know it. This morning at about approximately 2:34 a.m., officers received a call of a shooting in progress. Officers arrived there shortly thereafter. The location is in the downtown location, billiards, bowling alley.
All right, wait a minute. Look at this, y'all. We gotta see what Knight talking about right here. 45 million of us. We gotta get these numbers together. 45 million of us, 100 rappers. It's not them. That's why. How many slaves were there and how many slave masters were they? The number don't have to be a lot. Once you use tools like propaganda, I gotta bring up some Hitler on y'all. Let me bring up that Nazi documentary. Matter of fact, let me ask y'all another question because I'm looking for you Holocaust deniers. Type one if you don't think the Holocaust went down the way they say it went down. Let's just put it that way. You got a Holocaust. I'll get into that. I'm getting ahead of myself. You don't need a lot of folk if they're influential. Why you could think we call them stars? Everybody look up to them. You only need 100 stars. Hey, all the star got to do is put on their clothes backwards. Y'all putting y'all clothes on backwards. Whatever y'all see them doing, y'all gonna do. And don't get it twisted and think that this peer pressure ain't nothing but for young folks, for teenage. The grown folk got peer pressure. Grown folk got to do what everybody else doing. Peer pressure is real. We'll talk about peer pressure and awakening in a minute. Because I got folk want to ask me. I'm like, man, listen, I'm something. He ain't talking to me about what he talking to y'all other folk about. No, he ain't. He ain't talking to me about none of that. Maybe something wrong with me, but he ain't telling me nothing. He ain't coming to me in no dream. He ain't finna show me nothing. And I don't care how much of the population get to saying something. I'm just different. There you
Located at 1201 San Jacinto Street here in the downtown area. Once officers arrived, they came upon a male who was deceased. That male has been identified as Kersnick Ball, better known as Takeoff.
Come on, Elder. That's an excellent book. That was Sigmund Freud's nephew that wrote that book, Propaganda. If y'all see what the Germans did, that's how I'm shocked when y'all out here. Protocols of Zion, Israel ruling the world. I'd be like, yo, y'all don't even know the young propaganda from years ago. Folk done flipped this thing and used this thing. Folk manipulating and folk, y'all. I think a lot of y'all say y'all just don't believe by faith. Y'all not silly. Y'all want evidence. A lot of us, we hear stuff we believe in, we just run with it. We quick to spread a rumor without checking fact. We quick to do some stuff. We quick to believe some stuff. And why is that? Is it in somebody's nature? Well, why are we so quick to believe stuff? Why are we so quick to accept stuff? Not everybody, but a good bit of people. Good to see you, Elder.
He's a member of the Migos rap group out of Atlanta. And I want to pause again because sometimes the hip hop community gets a bad name. And I know, and evident from this city and people who I have a personal relationship, a lot of great people in our hip hop community, and I respect them. But back to Takeoff. I got many calls from Houston and outside of Houston, and everyone spoke of what a great young man this is, how peaceful he is, what a great artist. And I'm calling up on everybody, our hip hop artists in Houston and around the nation. We got to police ourselves. It is so many talented individuals, men and women in that community who, again, I love and I respect. And we all need to stand together and make sure nobody tears down that industry. And I'm calling to start here in Houston, here and possibly as early as next week. I want to meet with some of our artists and see how we can taper things down. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to the investigator, and we'll our commander translate, and the mayor is here for questions as well. But I want to pray for, ask that we all pray for his mother, his family, and all of his friends who are in deep pain and shock still right now. Thank you.
Dunamis, what's good, brother? At least one thing I could say, that on down south, they gonna still talk about praying in public. Police chief, everybody, men, every time it's mass killing, folk want to get to praying. Folk want to talk about praying, but we do need some peace in the community, and we gotta be careful of some things. What are your thoughts on this? But the realness said, y'all type of one if y'all agree with this. The realness said this a good one right here. This is a good one right here. Judah Ross, I don't know if you're going to go for this. Sister Wofield, I don't know if you can go for the propaganda is a tool of war. I wish Elder Julius talk on that right there. A lot of people don't know the depths of propaganda and how propaganda, the birth of a nation, the first real TV show in this country, the birth of a nation was propaganda. I got to show y'all how the Nazis and them use that propaganda, how genetics and Margaret Sanger and them ran a whole muck with propaganda at a whole different level. And it's a lot of folk running around here with some propaganda, and they just promoting and saying some stuff. We got movements built on propaganda out here. Come on, dude, cut a microphone. I'm muting myself.
Hey, grace and peace. Yeah, because like Sun Tzu said, warfare is based on deception.
Come on.
So if you're strong, you gotta look weak. If you're weak, you gotta look strong. Fast, and look slow. Slow, you have to look fast. So it's been done since the beginning of time, right? So, I mean, but we got to be careful, because how do we separate from propaganda to promotion, right?
Them things that fit like a hand in a glove. They go together.
Yeah, because I know I can go down the rabbit hole sometimes, because even when we testify, is that a form of propaganda or what is that?
Why do I be, hey, LaChat, why am I around the people that I'm around? You think you let them on, it's going to be safe, and then what? Now we testifying. Go ahead, let me see where he's going with this.
You know, because some folks get up on that pulpit, that testimony, whole bunch of propaganda. Sis, you know your husband left you 10 years ago. Talking about something, and God, anyway, he came back around. No, he was broke. He needed a place to stay. You let him back in the house, and now you trying to switch the story to make it sound better. Y'all shacking up. Y'all been divorced. Anyway, so it's a lot. Sometimes with propaganda, we try to put on the elites, but even our own personal lives, our family stories, is a lot of propaganda. Daddy wasn't how we thought he was. And now when other folks come around can tell you stories about daddy, you don't want to hear those stories because you feel they're lying. But we just propagate things from nostalgia, from what we don't understand. Sometimes we don't see. So
Covey said, "Leave it to Dunamis." Covey, what's good? Do me a favor. Read Elder Julius right here in the comment section.
Propaganda is why we keep falling for things. People in depth in propaganda know how to play on emotions. Yeah.
Hold on, listen to this, y'all.
Focus on the basics first. All right. Good morning, afternoon, my Hebrew family. Praying for Kyrie, and Ye. Yeah. wisdom, guidance.
Yo, I'm telling you right now, that Kyrie and that Kanye thing, they done brought this thing to the. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think? Where do you think this thing is going with this awakening? And now you got these multimillionaire coaches, owners of teams. You got this folk talking. Now these folk think that them light skinned folk y'all just gonna say what y'all want to say. We're gonna talk about Ron Dalton. We're gonna talk about Ron Dalton in a minute right now, because his thing is in the forefront right now. His thing is in the. What do you think about this whole thing?
This is the thing, because if certain folks control the system and there's a beast system in place, how is this what to stir folks up to revolt, peaceful protests and that kind of stuff, use their wallet to protest, all that kind of things, or what? Because it's not like, from what we've talked about this stuff for years in the Black community, right? Since the 20s, all that kind of stuff. So what's going to change now, right? Or is this just a canary in the mine, and this is God's going to do something? I don't know.
You think it's just telling a dream? Tony, what's good, brother? Tony said the Hebrew Israelites will replace the nation. I think when it comes to the awakening these Hebrew Israelites, I think they're on a whole nother nation level from the Nation of Islam. Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam already dying now. Folk ain't think about the Nation of Islam. This awakening, I don't really even compare the two. That's me personally.
Because with the NOI, they have structure. The NOI had certain kind of rules. Even in the NOI, it wasn't a spectrum. You know what I'm saying? If you were out of line that spectrum, like Khalil Muhammad, you just get kicked out.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? They didn't have time, you know what I'm saying? But beyond that, Nation of Islam was an organization. So with the awakening is not, it has centralized points, talking points, but it's not centralized to where you can say there's a leader. You know what I'm saying? In a way, it's like the Jews in the first century, where they had a whole bunch of rabbis, and they were saying the Sanhedrin, that there's a dispersion, there's certain leaders and certain cliques, but it's not necessarily like a central place. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Now the beef is with this guy Kyrie and Kanye. What they're saying. Listen to Roger. Everybody already know Roger. It ain't even nothing. It is what it is. Read the screen, and then I'm gonna ask everybody a question.
Kanye and Kyrie played themselves.
Why did they play themselves? Because they spoke too much truth that's powerful, Alton? Did they play themselves because they're supposed to, like somebody else just put in here? I was looking in the comment section. Somebody else said, shut up and dribble. Is this a shut up and dribble tactic? Don't bring out the deep historical truths. Is this propaganda? Is this race baiting? Is this just talk? Is this just a continuation of hate the Jews? Because I'm not going to lie. Everywhere I look, I see the light-skinned Jew. I'm not playing with y'all. I see them light-skinned folk everywhere. From the earliest of times, I see them light-skinned folk. Let me text Elder Green. I know y'all say they wasn't around and they ain't original. Let me bring up that other documentary. He said 8,000 years ago. I can't even. And look at Alton. He can make me use that other word. I'm trying not to use certain words anymore because so many different people watch. Alton talking about Roger talking good. Why they played themselves? Because they spoke. They don't care about their money.
No, well, hold on. Kanye played himself. Kanye said he's trying to be the Moses of his people. He's trying to bring his people out, right?
Bring them out. Oh, Father God, don't make me y'all don't make me use bad language.
So, but where I don't know. Because where is he taking them to? How much investment in the Black community has Kanye really done? To where
should we discuss that? Should that be discussed as the thing? Or should you look at the bigger picture? The Most High, don't my bad children take this? I'm just throwing this out there. Some people are saying the Most High is using Kanye and bringing this thing to a larger platform. Y'all largely ain't been talking about it in the church. They're talking about it. They've been screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming. We the people, we the people. Look at the evidence. Look at the evidence. Look at the evidence. Now, some people, and I'm going to bring up vocab, I'm going to bring up this Babylon to Timbuktu, and I'm going to bring up how some folk just believe stuff, or I dropped out of school, so I look up to other folk. When I hear folk went to college and I hear people got MDivs and all of that stuff, I figure they know how to research. They ain't gonna just believe and take anything. Now we know Babylon, the Timbuktu, and the camps been since YouTube came out. The camps been getting it in, largely dealing with that book. Is this a time for the world? Is this a time for the world to look at the claims that's being made by these Black Hebrew Israelites in America? We'll talk about the Jews in India. We'll talk about Jewish people all over and how y'all running amok with some scriptures. And is it a fair question, Covey? Is this a fair question? Because when I bring up the Jews from India, is it a fair question to say who fits the prophecies, or is that stupid? I want to know if that's a sensible, fair. Yolanda, you understand me? Sister QT, good to see you. I want to know if that's a fair question. Who fits the prophecies? Because no matter what, a lot of us come to the table, we all claim that we believe the book. But go ahead.
No, yeah, to me, who fits the prophecies? That's something right there. But now back with Kyrie though, I'm wondering what's the difference between Kyrie and Malcolm and Muhammad Ali?
As
You know
a
what I'm saying?
sports figure, that was when he joined the nation and how he started talking and speaking and being influenced.
Because the only beef they had with well, the name changed, but beyond that, the real beef he had with the media was he wasn't trying to go to Vietnam. Ain't no Viet Cong call me nigga.
And he said,
So
come on, come on, come on.
so it had to do with race, that kind of stuff. So like that was the only beef, that he wasn't going with the agenda.
Hold on,
But like,
hold on. I got a question. Most excellent. I got a question, but listen to this. Tony said, "Here's my problem with vocab. He acts blacks around. He act black around black folk, but he talks very differently around James White. Most excellent. What say ye to that? Do who in here? Who in here black? Who in here black talk black, and then when they get around some folk in the office, sometimes they talk a little different than they do around the way. I'm trying to be honest. But go ahead. So I'll play this right here because I
yeah,
want
go
to
ahead.
see where you're gonna put that blame. All right, fair use.
That a rapper from Migos died, I just wanted to go ahead and make a video about something I have a unique experience in. So I directed a bunch of rappers, people like Gucci Mane, Snoop Dogg, Lil Yachty, the list goes on and on and on. Okay. I learned a lot of things, and I have left the industry largely over my political beliefs, but there is something I want to impart to people to hopefully, make some sort of change happen. So I have a challenge to rappers, and I know some of you still follow me. I know a bunch of the celebrity blogs still follow me from trying to get news from music videos and things like that. So here's the truth. The truth is this: a bunch of young black male rappers keep dying. You know who's not dying? Record executives. The record executives that push for them to continue to make songs and create a culture that is obsessed with death, drugs, and sex. Period. The industry is obsessed with it, but those record executives, they're not dying because they don't push this culture on their own. Hey guys, in light of seeing that a rapper from Migos died, I just wanted to go ahead and make a video about something I have a unique experience in. So I directed a bunch of rappers, people like Gucci Mane, Snoop Dogg, Lil Yachty, the list goes on and on and on. Okay.
Somebody else said executives won't listen to this, Sister Jones. Somebody said executives won't let other people come and talk about death to their culture and sing about death to their culture and them as the people and killing up each other. Do y'all think that's true? I'm just here to ask the question. Do y'all think that that's true right there? I'm gonna pull this up and I want to show y'all something. Thank you so much, most excellent. $ Berean teacher, if y'all want to put a matter of fact, I'm asking y'all, give me $1. Berean teacher. Pastor Des, what's good with you? Oh man, I was trying to find that book on Kindle. I'm gonna have to get that book. Let me know if you want to jump on. Are rappers being forced? I hate these folks that be trying to make us think. Are rappers being forced to rap about violence, or are rappers just rapping our culture? All right, Dunamis, you heard that right there. That's fair. What say? Come on, I want to hear from the elders of the church.
Because
What say ye on that? That's fair? Ain't that fair, Covey? Where Covey at? What most excellent? If he talking crazy, he talking crazy. But most excellent, if he making sense, go ahead. I'm listening.
because Straight Compton if I'm not mistaken, they made that album before they were on the record label. So all the talk they were talking, that was before they blew up. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of rappers, even like in the drill scene, it wasn't necessarily to blow up. That's more so just hood music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you talk about hood events, like what's that? Bobby Smurder. You telling the hood tale about what's going on in your hood, and it blew up. And a lot of folks didn't realize, especially the white folks, he's talking about murders and people who.
So it's like, so you're trying to say, so I always tell fervent charity, that's my, I appreciate fervent charity, that's my man. But listen to this. I want to tell you, I want to say something. Do you think, because you know, Biggie said that, he just said he rap about what he see. He rap about the drug dealers, the people around him. People are going to rap about what they grow up with in the neighborhood. Is that basically what it is? That we're being too judaized, or we being too hard on the people?
Yeah, but the whole thing with the Migos grew up in Gwinnett County. The only person who had mugshots was Offset. The rest of them were privileged lives. So a lot of these folks, they from Georgia, and yeah, it's called a lot of folks in Gwinnett say they're from Atlanta, but they're not from where Gucci from.
Come on, no, that's totally different. Yeah, because I was out there in Marietta. But yo, listen to this. Listen to this. Do you think that if you want to talk positive, if you want to sing positive about love and being with one woman, worshiping God, or just having fun, if you rap about that, listen to this. You think if you rap about that it won't sell? That sex sell, fornication sell, violence, murder, killing, especially among our people, sell? Because we got housewives, we got people on the West. Shoot, I know some preachers, sometimes they riding on the highway, they'll listen to some other stuff. You think that's a problem? Or sometimes some people don't know how to differentiate?
I mean,
we had Terminator, we had people killing, we had Terminator, we had Hollywood promoting some stuff, but some people feel that some of us are affected in our community. First of all, do you think black men are killed at a higher rate at the hands of other black men than anybody else? Now watch Reddy Brew come in here and say something different. Go ahead.
But the whole thing, the people they're around, they're not. A lot of these rappers could have got to play the part, you know, in the booth and on the street, so they got to hang around hood people. Even though they're millionaires, even though they drive foreign cars, all that kind of stuff.
Why y'all gotta play dice so much? Why y'all love dice so much? Because I ain't never played. I ain't never was into that. Why y'all? Talk to me about the dice game and the importance of dice. Is it a cultural thing that y'all got to do it?
I mean, well, it's hey, I want to put my tinfoil hat on, but you know they throwing bones, and folks will say that's why dice game. That's why you get riled up because they throwing them bones. They invoking some things, but
and then I'm telling y'all right now, y'all say what y'all want. Don't talk about them Israelites and all that other spooky stuff because you run around here. He talking about throwing bones and casting lots. That make them wanna start beefing, especially when you got money and you got them foreigners outside and you got expensive watches on, you got real estate. Why shoot dice? Alton, I'm a little confused, but listen to this. I want Dunamis, before he get out of here, I want Dunamis to tell me what he think about this right here. I want to make sure. Let me see if this thing is going to play.
But bring to your point though earlier, it's the same reason why we eat McDonald's and we don't cook at home. A lot of this gangster rap is just easy and stimulating.
Hold on, is it all right? All right, I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry. I want to make sure I got the right one on. Y'all heard that fair use? Hold on. No. He said you ain't never street game. No, I ain't never did that. Of course I'm with him on the block, and but never. I was never into dice. I was never into cards, basketball, sports, none of that. I was never into none of that. No, I was just now I'm around them fools that's doing that. And that's because that's where everybody at. Fair use.
No phone calls right now. What up, world? So I'm back here to address the issue about the Jews. So, who are the Jews? So you hear people talking about they a Jew, right? They a black Jew. But then they blaming the Jews for owning all the property or controlling all the everything, right? So if black people that claim to be the Hebrews and the Jews, right? The original children of Israel. Like they say, being a Jew isn't a religion, it's a lineage, it's a people, it's a nation. So if black people are Jews, right? The Hebrews, right? In the Bible, it says, because of ye will bow down to other gods, your enemies will overthrow you. Your enemies will take you to foreign lands by the way of ships. Your enemies will, not your enemies, but foreigners will come into your community and rise above you. Not because they're stronger, not because they're racist. No, all because of one simple thing. Because y'all start bowing down, worshiping false gods. Point blank, period. So who's to blame? The white Jew? The Arab? The Mexicans?
Who's to blame, Dunamis? Is there, Yolanda, we got to talk sensible. Is there somebody to blame? Are things just happening that happen to everybody? People talk about killing and all of this stuff. Stalin was killing. Hitler was killing. Hitler was killing folk that look like him. Because are we going too far with the book and with prophecies, or is people using it for propaganda to start organizations, or is there really something to this? I seen Sister Lou, who is that? Sister Tracy said, "Oh, the Jews, here we go." Sister, is it not important to know who the true Jews are? You a good Christian, Sister Lewis. It's not important to you to know who the true Jews are to see if they fit the prophecy, who the true people are. Maybe this can answer all of our questions, and that's what some people are saying. I'm just putting it out there. Don't give me no hate mail. Fair use.
British? Rome? Europe? If you a black person and you feel like you are a Hebrew or a Jew, the reason why you are in the condition you are in, according to the Bible, is because you start bowing down, worshiping false gods. Your ancestors did the same thing. That's why you're in a situation right now. And I bet a lot of y'all still bowing down, worshiping false gods. Like I just heard dudes say, our God, Jesus Christ. You calling yourself a Jew? And you say your God is Jesus Christ? Come on, man. Come on, man. That's my point. Bowing down, worshiping false gods. On that note, I'm going to leave y'all on that note to think about that. Because people want to point the finger at everybody else instead of at themselves. And understanding you in the situation you are in because of you. At the end of the day, if you want to point some blame at anybody, it's your mama and daddy. And then you know who they could blame? They mama and daddy. And then you know who they could blame? They mama and daddy. You. Your ancestors, our ancestors, Start bowing down, worshiping false gods. Don't do that. I wipe my hands with y'all, and I'm going to tell y'all what's going to happen by doing it.
Now, we got a lot of people that want to blame all of these killings and what's going on in certain aspects, certain areas in the Black community on Christianity, because Christianity got y'all eating pork, y'all celebrating the birth of Jesus, and that's the problem. That's what they say the problem is. And if we get back to doing certain other things, it'll heal, it'll fix those problems. What's wrong with that? If anything, I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, but what's wrong with that? Grandmama and them was eating pork. Grandpa ain't had no education. Put grandmama in the house, raised 7 kids, ain't never been a felon, ain't never been in the penitentiary. They doctors, they own houses, they raise children, good generation, but they say pork. Grandma and them was eating chitlin, and grandma and them went to church Sunday. But they're saying all of a sudden that the sins of the Most High is coming on all of us because grandmama and grandmama and them ain't wearing no fringes. Grandpapa ain't had no fringes on. Grandpapa and them ate pork. And now the curses are on us because we got to refrain from these things. And a lot of people are basically blaming Christianity. Y'all don't know any better. It's the white man's Christianity. I like what that other sister said. She said, y'all running around here, y'all are eating booty popular. I shouldn't have said that. And y'all worried about pork. And y'all worried about pork. Yo, do me a favor, do me a favor, read. Come
The Lord's curses is on the house of the wicked, but his blessings on the house of the righteous. Proverbs 3:33.
Come on.
How is Israel still cursed if they're keeping the commandments?
Oh, I'm gonna leave that right there. He said, that's beef. It ain't pork, it's beef. He said, now read that one more time. Yeah, we got to read this real slow.
The Lord's curse is on the house of the wicked, but his blessings are on the righteous. Proverbs 3:33. How is Israel still cursed if they're keeping the commandments?
Now, if I put my Israelite hat on, that Pastor said, you're going to have to add, because you're asking it now. So you're going to have to, because they're going to say that Paul and them, that everybody, well, Paul was, Paul and Peter and them, when they was already killed, we believe, before the destruction of the temple in 70 AD. But they're going to say that even believers in the early Jesus movement, that the believers were part of the persecution, because as a nation, when the temple was destroyed, they were part of it anyway. And then what's another thing that they would say out? And they would say, well, a Christian woman, if your wife has a baby, she's going to go into labor pains, and that's part of a curse still. They would use that. What say ye to that, Pastor Des? What say ye to that? Go ahead, Dunamis. What would you say to that to him?
Nah, I mean the whole standpoint though is that but for the individual, if I start keeping the law, statutes, and commands, should my house be better? You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Well, you answer the question. Matter of fact,
it's a rhetorical. It should be. By the way, things are going. That if our assembly keeping the law, statutes, and commands.
So if you start keeping certain feasts, if you start keeping the feasts, because what he told y'all. CMB, what Bishop Nathaniel told y'all, you Christians don't keep no feast. Y'all don't do none of that. Y'all don't follow. Y'all say y'all follow Christ, but if you started doing that, that'll turn things around for the community.
Because part of the blessings is that you'll be the lender and not the borrower. So that when if we start an assembly and we all keep the law, statutes, and commands, we can start doing some microloans. You know what I'm saying? Loaning out to the community without high interest. Helping brothers get, step up, that kind of stuff.
That's so funny.
That's how we're doing it.
That's so funny because in Christianity, y'all was talking about the Jews and y'all let them do the lending and y'all ain't want to be involved in that. And y'all got them involved in the bank. And then when they started getting money in Europe, Spain, and Portugal, they started running amok and they had money and they had stuff and they were doing their numbers. Y'all started getting mad at them when y'all once forced them into it. And that's a whole different thing. That's a whole different thing. Now, listen to some of this in this Babylon of Timbuktu. Type of one if y'all read the Babylon of Timbuktu. Vocab is saying some things, and we want to see if vocab is fair. We want to see if it's fair. We want to, is that considered a scholarly book? Is that considered a good resource? Is that the beginning? A lot of people say that's the stepping stone to the awakening, to beginning to wake people up. That's the most popular book that was used in the awakening, that was used by the camps, and they were preaching it. Later on, we had different people that we would consider moderates, and they would do videos and documentaries, and they would talk about other things. But for the most part, the movement was largely, I'm not saying it didn't exist prior to on Babylon or Timbuktu, but on the internet and being spread by the camps, this is very, very, very important. Listen to this.
As a source, we saw that he didn't give his sources, and he literally inserted words into the text of an Ashkenazi Jew to make it say something it didn't say.
How many roads? Too many signs, I can't read them.
Oh, fair use.
But back and have to turn even if I seen it. Been driving all along, feel like I'm dreaming. Okay.
I have evidence of that to prove. That's why I'm asking. Because
what evidence? What's whenever I see evidence, as of now, I haven't seen a lot of valid evidence. What's the evidence that you think is valid evidence that I should look into?
Well, we have different video evidence showing the people tracing their DNA and them, giving us that information. You have multiple books that's proven.
What's a good one?
You have from Babylon to Timbuktu.
Okay, can I grab my copy of that real quick?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I have this book, right? There's some problems with it. I don't think it does show what you're saying at all. I mean, I imagine you've read this entire thing?
Yeah, I've read it.
All right.
Absolutely.
So, for example, page 84. In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
A few things about this. One is he cites no source for this number. Just nothing. There's no source at all. It just says 1 million.
Why are sources important? And must you always have sources? If so, why are sources important? Because a lot of people don't understand that. Some people, they grab a book and the first thing they look is for sources in the back. What references did they use? Why is that important? I wonder.
Because you can start making up stuff like with the transatlantic slave trade, numbers and figures to how many people were actually Israelites. You know what I'm saying? Like we went to the other day.
All right, so you could play with numbers. Is it dangerous to say all? Like one of the main contentions that one of the main beefs that we have is anybody that's saying everybody that came over on the slave ships are Israelites. I'm looking at you. You're a straight liar, con man. You a devil. I don't care what you think you're doing with that book and prophecy and all that. That's you talking garbage to me. Now, if you say, well, I could say that some came over there and we're trying to work on the numbers, but once you're saying all and it was nobody else that was, I don't know. I got a problem with that. Read Elder for me.
Without a source, all you have is a claim. Anybody can make a claim. Doesn't make it true.
Come on, fair use.
Well, he wasn't alive back then. How does he know? Shouldn't he tell us how he knows that there was 1 million? He said it's been estimated. Well, who estimated that? This is not academic writing. You can't trust this because you don't know why that number is there.
Now, wait a minute. We got to deal with this right here. We got to deal with this right here. Listen tonight. Vocab brings nothing but confusion. Never heard anything right from him. I want to see how many people agree with that right there, because we got to deal with the facts. We got to deal with the information that's out. Let's see if he says something right here, or he's just doing an apologetic dance. Let's see if he's lying. Is he fair for asking about a source and where you get the number from, the million, or that's him just doubting because it's people in them own slave ships? Fair use.
There. I see him writing it, but I want to know where he got that number from. Don't you? Do you know where he got that number from? 1 million Jews fled into Africa?
Well, I would take it that he got it from, resources dealing with the people, because in that same book, it talks about, how he interviewed certain African tribes and things like that. I would imagine that's where he got that from. And notice he said it was estimated. So it could have been less, it could have been more.
Right, but we need to know who did the estimating, right? We need to know, like, who estimated. Because if it's you said he interviewed modern day Africans, well, how would they know? They're alive in the 1990s or whenever whenever he interviewed them, perhaps in the 60s or 70s. They're alive then. How would they know what happened back in 70 AD? How would they know that 1 million, And here's the other thing. This says fled into Africa. It doesn't even tell you where. Africa is a massive continent. Is he saying that they went all the way down to South Africa by and large? Or were they mainly in North Africa? Now, if he's saying North Africa, which actually has some merit to it, Rome controlled that area. But he says they fled Roman persecution. Well, if they're fleeing Rome, why are they going into North Africa, which is controlled by Rome? Look, in fact, I got a book about it. Let me show you this. This is called Christianity in Roman Africa.
Right.
And the reason it's called Roman Africa is because when Christianity was spreading at this time, this was still basically considered part of Rome. Well, Christianity is.
Did Rome control around the pyramids in Egypt? Did Rome at any point ever control that land?
Yep.
They had Roman police who were white people. I said, did Rome ever control it, y'all? We gotta see if this is making sense. That's all. I want to make sure we bring everything on the table, because y'all all say that these Christians will lie. These Christians will they don't want to accept the truth. But at the same time, don't just tell me what you want to tell me. See, folk, they could just tell me anything. So we just gotta see, and we gotta see if what's being said makes sense. And if it don't make sense, somebody gotta make it make sense. Is that fair, y'all? Is that fair? Or we just talking to the great spirit on the sky, and we just accepting anything. Stalks is bringing babies. We just telling it, saying anything. Fair use.
Is spreading after 70 AD. By and large, as far as when the book is concerned. Well, so how are they fleeing the Roman government if they're going into a Roman area? That does not make sense. How can they? And then he says the slave markets were full.
Jordan, I ain't gonna lie, some of y'all make me don't even want to read the Bible. Because my understanding is what that scripture mean right there, fervent charity.
And then Marine
Black
with that
Jewish
too.
slaves. Slave.
Nah, because it also goes to the point about for all the years that the Bible's been misused by other folks to support their narratives, then what do? How is their claims less or greater than yours if they're using the Bible as well?
If they use, all right, y'all heard that. Somebody said a popular book. Hold on a minute. I'm looking for fervent charity. I'm looking for fervent charity answer too. Greek historians said the same thing. Torah group said, okay.
Markets where? What's the source? How does he know they're Jewish? How does he know? He doesn't give you any of that information. This book is a book where you just have to take his word for it. I was taught that that's not how you read academic. That's not the way that you read academically. You don't read where you just accept everything. unless the
Well-
person is an established expert in the field or it's direct eyewitness testimony, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's accurate, it just means you can't get behind it. We got to say, okay, how do we know that that's accurate? Please give us your source. Why didn't he give us his sources? You can't check him on this because there's no source to check. So
Well,
I don't hold that it's valid at all. Neither
I
should
would,
you.
I would go along with it, because if you want to deal, and I don't have that book right in front of me, but when you deal with historical sources, when they say approximately, right? Approximately this amount of people, that amount of people, that happens in mostly all historical documents. Nobody who's writing it was there to actually know how many people. Like, for instance, we can deal with the Jewish Holocaust. Whenever we hear about the Holocaust, we hear that millions of Jews were killed in the Holocaust, right? And I don't have these sources in front of me right now, but I have a brother who brings out a source dealing with the Holocaust, and he shows how that number is not accurate. It wasn't millions of Jews. As a matter of fact, it was a mixture of not only some of the Jews in that Holocaust, but they tell you it was millions, approximately millions of Jews. So when you're dealing with certain sources like that, they're giving you the overall view of what's happening. Now,
Now, Dunes, let me ask you a question. Do you think people are wise enough, or do you think people are going to sit back and really look at these arguments and look at this stuff? Because the first thing they're saying, fervent charity, anybody, the word Israel is already tainted. Hebrew, Israelite, all of that stuff. You black, you talking about you a Jew, you already done, it's already blown up out here. Y'all all, that's why I hate it, and I've been fighting it for years, but whether all of y'all are false teachers, all of y'all are anti-Semitic, all of y'all are Holocaust deniers. People's gonna be on your behind. Listen, y'all can say what Kanye West is doing is the most high and da. People gonna be on your behinds running around here. Because they, trust me, every single one of y'all in here, according to your interpretation of the Bible, you're anti-Semitic, you're all Holocaust deniers in here, and you're dangerous to a people. Or you're dangerous to society. And y'all are say because y'all are teaching the truth. But we'll see where this thing go. Because y'all see the other brother was at a basketball game, and the little Jewish kids had the front row. They was on the floor, fight anti-Semitism. Oh, these folk ain't done with y'all. This thing just getting started. This thing just get now. Is it worth? Now, was it worth it? Is it worth it? Is the Most High God stirring Kanye in this deep truth to bring it to the forefront? That's my question. All right.
mentioned them going into Africa, right? If you look at where Jerusalem is, because during the time of Mashiach, he told them, when you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, to flee, right? Now, they were fleeing Roman persecution in Jerusalem, because if you know about Jerusalem and them being under the Romans and the Greeks, there was a large diaspora from Jerusalem down into Egypt, Alexandria, Egypt, and even into Rome. So you had Jews also in Rome during the time of this persecution. When the Romans invaded Jerusalem, it was because of a rebellion. It was a large rebellion of the Jews leading up to the Roman invasion of Jerusalem during that particular time. That was one of the main reasons Jerusalem was invaded by the Romans. It was due to rebellion. And so you had a large diaspora during that time, and even prior to that, going into different regions, going into Africa, going into Rome, going into other Greek areas. And so the Jews who were not killed during that time, they were all taken up to Rome and sold as slaves. The ones who weren't sold, they were put in the Colosseums. and used as sport, because this was during a time when Christianity wasn't at its height. It was pretty much establishing during this particular time.
Well, if I could share something, this is from Tacitus. Tacitus is a well-known and trusted Roman historian. He wrote in Histories, I believe it's 513, that during the siege of Jerusalem, there were 600,000 inhabitants. 600,000 inhabitants in Jerusalem. And this is somebody who knew the aristocracy, and he knew he had access to Roman records and things like that because of his position. Well, if Tacitus is giving us a number that's anywhere close, 600,000 people in Jerusalem during the war under question, well, how?
Thank you. Reclaiming the Throne. I didn't even hear. This is a different one. Joshua Collins on Tubi. It's far more detailed than the other document entry. H2N. Wow, I gotta. All right, I'm gonna leave that up there. Y'all tell me if anybody's saying there's other Reclaiming the Throne.
How is it that 1 million fled into Africa if Jerusalem itself only has 600,000? And because we have to also remember one other thing. Jews, when they scattered, didn't only go into Africa. They went into a lot of other places as well. So how do you get 1 million out of, I guess, all of Israel fleeing, perhaps? But see, this is centered on Jerusalem. So where's the number coming from? When Tacitus says there's only 600,000 Jews in Jerusalem at the time, how does Windsor tell us there's 1 million fleeing into Africa? And he doesn't tell us a time frame. He doesn't tell us a source. He doesn't tell us anything. But we have Tacitus, who is much closer to the events than Windsor, and he says 600,000. Do you see why there's some real problems? And this is what we get. This is one of the most trusted sources for Hebrew Israelites as far as their history. And you open it and you just find problem after problem.
Well, what does Tacitus say about the Israelites leaving Jerusalem? Because that number can vary. I'm aware of that source, by the way. That number can vary from source to source. 600,000. Some sources might say over 1 million. You understand? But what does he say concerning that time frame? And
Hold on a minute. Hey, yo, I was just talking about you yesterday. Ellen, I got beef with them. I got beef with them folk at work. And it ain't the pastor. It's one elder, and that is and this other brother. He been there for a minute. I said, I'm telling you, Bruce, if I ain't working with your people, come on to the microphone, bro. What's good with you?
Praise the Lord, praise the Most High Yah and the Son Yeshua HaMashiach. How's it going?
Praise. What's good with you?
Yeah. Hey, doing Brother Beran. Ain't nobody thinking about vocab. He's just trying to find some red herring. And then there's other books. For instance, Chosen People from the Caucasus by Michael Bradley and forwarded by Michael John Henry Clark. Look, and he gives sort in that book, again, Chosen People from the Caucasus by Michael Bradley. Give the same. Matter of fact, he says 10 to 15 million, and conservative estimate through the Middle Passage was 100 million were killed. So, and the brother from from Babylon to Timbuktu, he just gave a low number, and it doesn't even make any sense. Think what Vocab was talking about. Why would the children of Israel leaving Jerusalem, running for their lives, run north where the belly of the beast is? Of course, they went south and west and east. They wouldn't go right back to there when they were running for their lives, because they wiped them out, because they were enduring great slaughter. So yeah, they went south and they went west, and they didn't run back into Rome. That don't even make any sense. That's just common sense.
Hey,
so, but what I'm saying is,
I want to hear what Covey got to say. Listen to what he said. I mean, Dunamis got to say. Listen to what he's saying, Covey. Listen to what Bruce is saying. Now he said, why would they say that again for us slow folk?
Okay, Vocab is talking about that, in this video, saying that Rome controlled North Africa. Exactly. So if they're on the run, if they're being scattered and running into Africa, they would not go right back into the belly of the beast. They would not go back into Rome if they're running from the Roman army. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. They would have to go into the deeper areas of Africa, west and south and northwest. I mean, southwest and so forth. So what vocab is talking about is crazy and don't even make any sense. It's just common sense. Secondly, but my first point was, in the book Chosen People from the Caucasus, Michael Bradley, he brings out plenty of things in there. He brings out the fact that the Khazars are from Europe, and they're not the original people. They were converted. He brings out the conversion of the Khazar under King Bulan. But what's striking is how he says it's 10 to 15 million were put into slavery. But conservative estimates, if you include the middle passage, like 100 million were killed. And no one's trying to play down this, 6 or 7 million Jews that was allegedly killed in the Holocaust, but the real Holocaust was the transatlantic slave trade and the sub-Saharan
now, what do you mean
trade.
when you say this offend people a little bit? What do you mean with the real Holocaust? What about Stalin and them? What about with Idi Amin? So Hitler, that wasn't real. When you say real, based on the numbers, or
yeah,
real
there's murders, and then there's there's murders which is horrific and sin against God, and then there's mass murders that people just shock the conscience of a community, a nation, or the world. So when in terms of the one people who were spread to the four corners of the earth, and in doing so lost 10 to 15 million, according to Michael Bradley. And that's just the information he was able to find. But he says other sources, and he quoted them, said it was 100 million that lost, that was lost during the middle passage and stuff. So like I said, I wasn't downgrading the, 6 or 7 alleged Holocaust victims that was killed.
Why you say alleged? Because I'm just fine. I didn't know, of course, because they putting it out there like Ron Dalton is anti-Semitic. All you Israelites anti-Semitic, they're gonna say when it comes to them other people.
No, I don't think it's.
I don't even want to start further charity up, but go ahead.
I'm like Brother Ye. How can we be anti-Semitic when we the true Semitic people?
All right, y'all heard that? Let me hear what y'all got to say based on. He said, how can you be anti-Semitic when you're the true Semitic? Can you be anti-black and be black? I heard people say that about Elton.
Well, I tell you what, my brother Brent, we do have some brothers and sisters that are anti-black. They just love the master. Master, we sick.
Oh man.
They just love. They don't care. If they say it's right, it's right. But but no, you got some anti-black that's black. Trust me, because they just been so brainwashed, and they love the white supremacists. And let me make this clear: I got some brothers that's white. They beautiful, and they would give you the shirt off their back if they could, and try to repay us in reparations if they were able to, because they realize the truth and they know it. So I am not anti-white. Mm-hmm. I love white folks because some of them are good. But I'm just saying that the white supremacists who is controlling everything, they're a bunch of liars. And vocab know that. Anybody think about what vocab talking about? Babylon to Timbuktu is one source that you use with multiple sources to bring the whole picture together. It's like putting
just one piece together. Of the puzzle. It's only one piece of a bigger puzzle, you're saying?
Yeah, but it's only one piece, and then you put the other pieces together, and you were like, yeah, this makes sense. People are awakening. This is what they did. We've been lied to. Let's move forward.
Hold on a minute. No, Sister Christy saying this is crazy. Why? What exactly is crazy? Sister Christy, we appreciate you in Super Chat too. She said, this is crazy. Dunamis, do me a favor. Read this. I don't know if Bruce will work. Read this for Bruce. LeChat got a question for you.
Did the Jews
get that rust off her wrench? She got a question for Bruce. Go ahead. I want to hear Bruce reply to this. As a matter of fact, I want to put this to LeChat talking to everybody, not just Bruce. Go ahead.
Did the Jews have to go far or just leave Jerusalem? Were the Romans chasing them outside of Jerusalem, or just chasing them out of the city of Jerusalem? Well, they need to have gone very far.
Yeah, well, it's kind of both, because some are, we a bunch of, God's people are stiff necked. They hard headed. They wouldn't even listen to the Messiah telling them, hey, he told them you better head for the mountains because this is about to happen. And some stayed, and those who stayed, they went into captivity and was used as gladiators in their colosseums because they used them, but the other group went into captivity because they hard-headed, stiff-necked, but for the most part they were being chased by the Romans, and they went into Africa. You got to remember, they had allies in Africa. They've been trading with Africa.
Hold on a minute, Bruce. We're barely at. Where's CMB at? Where's CMB and Pastor Des and them? Because some of y'all got to explain some stuff, because y'all are saying clearly we got a big problem with Luke. When Christ started mentioning that and talking about fleeing and all of that stuff, we're saying that's not the transatlantic slave trade. And when I say we, the majority of us in Christianity, we're saying that that's not the transatlantic slave trade. And you understand me, young Pastor Green? How do y'all understand them passages, young Pastor Green, when he's talking like in Luke 21? Go ahead, keep going.
But hold on, let me comment on that. No, they fled into Africa, and then they set up different areas like Dahomey and Negro land and so forth like that, right?
Well, they said Dahomey?
Hold on. Yeah, there was some Jews in the Dahomey area, but hold on. And so the transatlantic slave trade didn't happen till centuries later. So what I'm saying is they fled into Africa and they set up shop. They were the most productive people in the African lands. And so the Hamites, they ain't had no problem rounding them up and selling them for goods and for gunpowder and for drink, that liquor and wine. But yeah, they didn't have no problem. They didn't have no problem rounding up the people because they felt they encroached on their land anyway. So when they left AD 70, some went into Africa, but there was also some in Portugal and Spain who had been there with the Moors, and that came out of the Babylonian captivity. But Jerusalem, the way they were acting up, the emperor sent the armies in there to wipe out Jerusalem. So yeah, they were going far. And some of them had to go very far because Vespasian and Titus, they went in, they were trying to wipe those people out. And so they went deep into Africa, and they went west and they went south, and they went, and they went all over. And so, yeah.
Hey, so Bruce, real quick, I want you to just clear something up then, right? In Acts 18, it says, after this, Paul left Athens and went to Corinth. There he met a Jew named Aquila, a native of Pontus, who recently come from Italy, with his wife Priscilla, because Claudius had ordered all the Jews to leave Rome. Paul went to see them, right?
Okay.
This is Acts 18. But then when you go to Acts 28, right, it talks about how when Paul was in Rome, he ordered all the Jewish leaders, he asked them to come see him, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the order went down to expel all the Jews from Rome, how did Jews for Paul to meet in Rome 10 chapters later?
How did Paul do what?
How did Jews in Rome for Paul to meet with?
Well, that particular question, I have to look into that. But you got to remember, them black Jews are all over.
No, but you just get, because you said it was 70 AD.
No, after the destruction.
Jews out,
I'm saying that.
Jews out, right?
No, Dunamis. I'm saying after the destruction of Jerusalem, they went into Africa. But you got to remember, then they set up shop in these different communities, Negro land and so forth, even in South Africa. And you also have to take into account that some of them were already in Spain and Portugal, and so forth. The truth of the matter is, black folks were all over Europe before. That's why you got all them black pictures of folks all over. They were even in the east and the west of Europe. So there was all because some Jews got scattered, and some of them were hard hit with some of the tribes. So I don't have no, I have no issue with that.
So they're Jews in Europe. So how does it not make sense after 70 AD for flows to flee north into Europe? And Jews were merchant, because you said that while they flee north, Roman persecution, but we see in Acts 18 they're ordered to leave, but then 10 chapters later, there's still Jews in Rome. So
And
is
70
it too
AD,
far-fetched for them to go north, for some Jews to go north into Europe, if there are Jews there already?
what you doing?
You don't start that road rage. You live.
I know. Hold on, y'all. This guy almost hit me. Hold on.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Torah group.
Oh, Booth, I put a case on them.
Can you hear me, Shalom? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Dude, this what you do?
I don't know what Bruce got going on.
Yeah, this guy gonna run me off the road. Well, anyway, hold on. Let me deal with him. Come right back. I'm still gonna be online.
All right. Hey, Barry, can you hear me?
Yeah. Speak up. Yeah. You sound a little bit low.
Yeah, I'm at the J. It's been a minute since I've been on, but
What's good with you? He said, I can hold on. I'm sorry. All right. Go ahead. I want you to see. Go ahead, Torah group. But Dunamis, I think this is for you.
It might be.
Okay, let me leave. Okay. Go ahead. I'll mute myself.
this dude, Mark Reiser, he's insulting your intelligence.
Okay.
He has the audacity to question Rudolph Windsor's scholarship, and you could just pull up his bio. Rudolph Windsor has education in Aramaic studies. He has degrees, and Mark Reiser doesn't have anything to his record.
Oh, okay. I thought he had a degree. I thought his thing was in metaphysics, but I looked that up. But go ahead.
Yeah, I just pulled it up for you. I was going to try to screenshot it to you, but just if you pull up his bio, let me see. It says he's from Jersey. He attended Philadelphia Community College, studying psychology and poli-science. Went to Gratz College, where he majored in Hebrew Aramaic studies, and Temple University, where he majored in Middle Eastern studies. So what did this Mark Reiser has to his credit? And then just to put the nail in the coffin, the book in question here was first published in '69, and then it was continued to be reprinted and republished in '73, '76, 2003, 2006, 2011, 2017, and 2018. What am I saying, B? These publishers are not going to continue publishing a book that has a bunch of lies and poor research. So
over and over again.
Over and over again. So Mark Reiser is just blowing smoke, trying to sound intelligent, but he's insulting people's intelligence who don't know how to research. And then I want to say this before I yield back to Dunamis. It's easy to refute a lie. If I tell you I scored 60 points in a high school game, well, you could get on the YouTube now, you can get on the computers, and you could easily see I ain't scored 60 points in a high school game. But I've been around in this awakening since 1999. The brother who woke me up, he didn't have no fringes on, he didn't have no garments on. He was just a Black American, seeing me reading the Bible in the university library. And he finally stopped after three times circling me. He finally doubled back because I'm in the city. I'm in West Philly. He finally doubled back and he says, "Bro, are you a Christian?" And at the time I was. I said, "Yeah, what's up?" And he said, "Nah, I ain't come to argue. I just want to, share some stuff with you." Long story short, he broke down scriptures that I had learned in Sunday school and just told me that this book is about us. That was in 1999, right? So I've been living this life full time since 2016. A lie can easily be refuted. The Christian apologists have been going full time trying to refute this, and they can't. They can't. It's getting worse by the day for the Christian apologists. That's saying something. So with that, I yield, man. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your platform. May y'all will be done.
All right, thank you, bro. Thank you. Good. I don't know if Bruce ready yet.
Yeah, I'm back.
Go ahead, brother. No.
Okay.
All right, Dunamis, what were you saying? And if y'all, I forgot, I think two people had a question for Bruce, but go ahead. I think Bruce was talking to Dunamis. You were asking him something.
Yeah, no, I was just asking Bruce in terms of the line he's going with. That the Jews were kicked out by Claudius to leave Rome, right?
Yeah.
But in Acts 28, when Paul's in Rome, he meets with the Jewish leaders. They come to his house, right? They even ask him, "Have you received letters about me?" And he says no. So how are there Jews in Rome when they're ordered to be kicked out? If
Well,
it go because it's going the narrative, you're saying that 70 AD, the Romans were chasing Jews, so they had to flee to Africa, right? They weren't going to Europe. But from what you're saying, there were Jews already in Europe or established, different communities and
there
whatnot.
was Brother
So,
Dunamis.
how's it? Would it make sense that some, not all, but there would be some that even flee north into Europe and that kind of stuff?
There was always blacks in Europe. Dunamis,
No,
that's
but
a,
not some blacks in Europe. But even with that,
I'm talking
because you're
about
saying that
there was
they
Jews
wouldn't
in
flee
there. But
north.
what you're talking about a timeline that was in the book of Acts. So Jerusalem was still there.
Yeah,
Jerusalem was
but
still, hold on, Dunamis. Jerusalem was still there in the account of Romans and Acts. It wasn't until AD 70 when when Vespasian and Titus brought every stone to the ground, and them Edomites and Amalek was talking about raise it to the ground, trying to like bring it down. So no, they weren't there, and during that time, where I'm talking from the period of AD 70 when the Romans came in and they fled Jerusalem prior to Jerusalem getting wiped out and knocked to the ground. They fled into Africa. I'm not talking about the accounts in the book of Romans and the book of Acts, because Jerusalem was still standing. So I'm talking about from AD 70 when Jerusalem was going to the ground and they started wiping out all those Israelites, black Israelites, and they ran into Africa.
no, Bruce, you missed the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that in Acts in 18, there was an order where all the Jews had to leave Rome. You know what I'm saying? But then we see that later on, there's still Jews in Rome. So with the whole notion making about the whole persecution from the Romans in 70 AD, we see, is that going to be a full-scale Roman Empire no more? Or is that just dealing with the destruction of Jerusalem? Because we see there were Jews still in the land, and we're still in the land for the Bar Kokhba revolt later on. So one, is it extensive? You're trying to make it seem like throughout the entirety of the Roman Empire. Then two, why? What's the beef with some Jews going north into Europe or into other Roman territories? If they had communities set up, synagogues and all that kind of stuff, trade routes, all that.
Listen, Dunamis, what I'm trying to get you to understand is when those armies, when they sacked Jerusalem, they went in there to kill. You kill anybody that's living, and anybody was there, anybody was there in Jerusalem when they started knocking down those walls, and the pebbles would turn down and the walls would knock down to the ground. They had to run for their lives. Now the black Jews, and maybe in Rome and any other where, maybe they're following the laws. They didn't send the armies against them. I'm speaking of the armies that came against Jerusalem, knocked Jerusalem to the ground, knocked, the walls of Jerusalem and all the city to the ground, and the temple to the ground. So what I'm
So
trying to
wait a
get you
minute.
to,
So I'm sorry. So Bruce. So at this time, there were in Jerusalem. There were different Jews. Or you just talking about black Jews in Jerusalem? I'm trying to figure.
it was there was Jews and there was some white Jews, just like there were white Jews who were converts, who were of the line of Esau, who converted to Judaism. But what I'm saying is the black Jews in Jerusalem during AD 70, they fled into Africa. There were black Jews in Rome, there were black Jews in Corinth, and everywhere else. There were black Jews
So
in Portugal.
They split up according to a
No,
complexion. What the? Oh my God.
no, what I'm saying is there were already Jews there. The Roman army.
You said it was white Jews. You said it was white. So the white Jews got to stay because they looked like the Romans. They were the Edomites. They looked like them. So they let them ride. They let them live.
Who was the Edomite king who ran over Jerusalem at the time of Jerusalem?
Herod, that was half. That was
Herod.
half.
Herod,
Yeah.
exactly. So you know he was white, you know, and so they claimed to be Jews, you know. You didn't claim, so it was Jews elsewhere. So I'm not even talking about that. What I'm trying to get you all to understand that during the time of AD 70, when Titus and Vespasian knocked down Jerusalem, those Jews that were in Jerusalem, they fled, and most of them fled into Africa, and they did not run back into, it, it was no, they did not fly. They would not run back into the belly of the beast, and after the Roman army is chasing them down, they had
Hold
allies.
on. I'm sorry. Hold on. Bag to Israelite. I saw you. I saw you in there. You could jump on. You next. I'm sorry. I forgot you. Another brother
So,
jumped on.
so I'm not even speaking about those Jews who were already in there, and it was, Herod, Esau type Jews in there, and there were some true black Jews in there. But I'm speaking of the blacks, the Israelites and Jews that were in Jerusalem at the time of when Jerusalem they went into Africa, and if they're being chased down and murdered by the Roman army, it makes no sense for them to run north back into the chopping block.
Oh, real quick. So Bruce, with that, right? Did the Esau-like Jews? Who wrote the Talmud? Who compiled that?
Esau type Jews.
Did the Sephardic Jews?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Oh, not matter of fact. Let me go ahead and let him milk that cow right there, because y'all got it. So nobody in here follow Talmud, right? We're red letter than that. We're fervent charity act. No black Israelite in their right mind following no Talmud. We're plumbers and we're plumbing them folk at.
Yeah. So that's the question. So did the Sephardic Jews?
You have a great day.
Follow Talmud.
There were some Sephardic Jews who were right on point. What I'm saying is those Ashkenazi Jews, those Khazar Jews, those fake Jews, those Esau and those Amalek Jews, they followed the Talmud. The true Jews, the true Jews follow the Torah.
Oh, that's come on.
So in terms of how to conduct themselves, discussions, how to keep Shabbat, all that kind of stuff, right? Because they're in diaspora, there's no temple. So how can they keep Torah? How can they keep Torah if they can't make sacrifices, Bruce? So what do? Because the sacrifices stopped at 70 AD, right? So what reasoning did they use to how to acquaint themselves with the destruction of the temple? Do they have a source? Do they have, some kind of rabbis had a dialogue that was later on recorded? Where did that come from?
I forget that preacher that come over here. Him and I had dialogue before on Berean show. You can still have feast days and everything without a temple.
Oh, he talking about Pastor. He talking about Elder Green.
Yeah, no, not Elder Green. That other one that's a evangelical. The black guy. But anyway, we talked about that, and I showed him way before the temple was built. They were keeping the feast days and everything. So you can keep the Torah before. You can keep the feast days. You can keep the new moon days without. You can keep it. They were those are internal laws, and they were just passed down to Moses so the people can get back on track.
Yeah, I understand that, Bruce. But what I'm saying is that the way you're making it sound like kept Torah, right? There are limitations they had, and they would have to have discussions. That the religious leaders would have discussion about what they can do, and those were recorded in a certain place. Where were those compiled and recorded in?
Well,
and
I
how
don't
to
know
conduct
about.
themselves.
Well, I'm not even equipped to say where they recorded,
Well,
because here's the thing.
it starts with
Here's
a
the
T.
thing.
It starts with a T, brother.
Hold
Going to
on.
history of the dialogue, that Talmud.
No. But the Talmud is wicked, and it's from the pit of hell. And they got all types of stuff in there about having sex with boys and having sex with little girls and do all that. The Talmud is wicked. The God of the universe didn't pass down that mess to Moses to pass it down to his chosen seed. Talmud came over those Esau, Amalek, fake Jews, and that's what it came about. And they're mixing it, and they know it's evil and wicked. We won't be dealing with no Talmud when we come into the kingdom.
Bruce, nobody's talking about the kingdom. I'm talking about the history.
I don't know what I'm
Right?
talking about, but you're missing the
500
point, though,
CE,
man.
the Talmud was finally compiled, and then from there, there's certain elements that in this diaspora that Babylonian Talmud was spread out, in the Sephardic Jews, right? Then there's certain elements from it that was used interpretation from the Talmud that led into the Hamitic hypothesis, to where how black folks were treated, right? So the interpretation wasn't y'all.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna say, go ahead.
Or what?
You said what now?
Was the interpretation not y'all, but y'all wrote the words, or y'all had nothing to do with the Talmud at all?
The true children of Israel ain't had nothing to do with the Talmud. That was from, I keep trying to get you to understand, that's from Esau, Amalek, and all them fake Jews.
All right, so you're saying right now, any Israelite camp, non-camp, or any black Israelite just mess around with Talmud is in deception. They don't know no better.
No, they don't know nobody. They deceived. They're in darkness. And any of them that's practicing the Talmud are in darkness. That's not what, they're not coming from the book. That's from the pit of hell, the Talmud. That's what Satan wants them to do. That's why you think they got us in slavery. Why you think they persecuting ye and Kyrie, them Talmudic Jews.
But Bruce, it's because that Talmud and what they say about Christ, they call beef with the Jews and the Catholics, to where they say Christ is bathing excrement, all that kind of stuff. So the Jews had to censor it, but Sephardic Jews had it too. So
Ray, a
from my
liar.
understanding, I'm over
Ray
the
said Israel
correction.
started it. Ray said Israel started it, but it's still off. So you telling me? Let me leave that alone. Go ahead.
Hey, hey, listen, brothers. The people of God never followed the Talmud. That's a corruption.
Come on.
It's sort of like it's tantamount to an evangelical Christian or Pentecostal or somebody who is a true Christian trying to follow the Jehovah Witness Bible.
Brian,
Do you understand the comparison?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, trying to find the Jehovah Witness Bible and with all that foolishness in there, and the Mormons Bible and all this other stuff. So no, there's a true word, and then there's copies and people that inserted it. How come you can't understand that?
Hold on a minute, Torah group. I see you back on.
No, it's not.
Brian. Hold on a minute.
Hmm?
I see you put that link in the back. But I know you jump off. I don't know if you was at work. You were back there. You were waiting. Come on to the microphone, then I'm gonna bring them back on. I don't know how much time you had, but I seen you on earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound low, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm at the jail. I just want to clear up what the brother was saying about the Talmud. It is wicked, but it didn't come from the Khazars. It came
Uh-oh.
from black. It came from black Babylonian Jews. If you do the research, I ain't gonna start nobody intelligence. Dunamis, Berean, you guys are highly intelligent. The Talmud comes in two different flavors that make up the Talmud: the Mishnah and the Gematria. How you want to pronounce it? I think the Mishnah was really written down first in like 200 AD, and then the Gematria came written down about 600. I could have it transposed because it's been a minute since I studied it, but it came from black Israelites, wicked black Israelites. The Khazars, they didn't
Oh,
convert to
so they
nine.
were wicked black. Oh, wait a minute now.
Yeah,
Oh boy, y'all confusing it now. Y'all go ahead. I
just,
want to hear this. No,
just
it
follow
was a Jew. Matter of fact, it was a Jew. I forget. Where's the other Bantu Israelite? If you in here, jump on. I see you put that video in the back. Go ahead.
just follow the receipts. The Khazars didn't convert to 900 AD. So the
Yes.
Khazars, they
Yes.
they bring the non-melanated flavor of Judaism. They didn't convert to 900 AD. The Mishnah and the Gematria was written down six, like again, the Mishnah came first in 200 AD. That's when we started getting the leap year and all this crazy mess they injected into the calendar. But the point I'm saying, trying to help the brother, he could do his own research. It didn't come from Esau, or whoever you want to call him. It came from our people who were wicked, and
But
the
so,
Bible
but so
says,
this is the thing. Why do it have statements talking about dark skinned people? We gotta lay into this
right,
because if those came from black Israelites,
right.
that's where the beef is. If those
Well, the
came
fact,
from black Israel, why do it sound like it's anti-black or
And then why?
anti-dark skin?
And
because
then why would black Israelites start calling Edom wrong?
Come
right,
on.
okay, so just bear with me here because you got revisions and additions as the Khazars came in. And that's when, like Dudamus is saying, the Catholics started collecting them, burning copies of them. And now that you got the converts, the Khazars been converted, now you're starting to get rewrites and revisions. And that's when that Hamitic hypothesis come in. So it's a lot of moving parts, but people got to be patient and just can't find a piece of research and boom, now you're going on YouTube and publishing stuff. You got to learn how to vet
Mhm.
stuff and research the counter offers too. We got people excited when they go live and publish something first, and you out here looking retarded saying a bunch of cockamamie stuff.
Mm.
With that, I yield out.
All right,
No,
come on, Sean.
and tour group, real quick, yeah, that's all. That's all I'm trying to say. Just the timeline need to be set right, and folks just kind of this broad brush about it's this where clearly from the history is written at a certain time. So you got to have time traveling or something involved to make it, some folks' narratives make sense because otherwise it's not clicking.
So he's saying the anti-black stuff came in there after. That what he's saying. He's saying it came in there after, like they the wicked folk got it and added that into it. If I'm correct. Come on, Sean.
Correct.
Yes,
Correct.
Berean, I wanted to I'm listening to a lot of the so-called history, and I wanted to clear up some of the history. The
Yes,
brother
yes.
was talking about earlier, so he was talking about the Jews that got kicked out of Rome.
Wrong. Oh, it is. Yes, correct.
Yes, and the ones under Claudius, because there was two different times they got kicked out. One they got kicked out in like 19, the other one they got kicked out in like
Correct.
around 44.
Correct.
And so he's talking about uh, um, the Jews that Paul was speaking to. Paul did a lot of name dropping. He spoke about certain people that he was talking to.
And
One of
Acts, yes.
those people that he was talking to was named Epaphroditus.
Yes.
So, who was in the household of Caesar? The Caesar at the time was Nero. That Epaphroditus is also the same person who published Josephus' works.
Okay, go on.
A lot of so there's different reasons why certain people would be, especially in the household of Rome. I don't want to go on the dates of when certain things was written, but the Herodian family are considered as Jews also. There's also a precedent.
Half Jews, or what do you
Come
mean?
on.
Yes, no, they were.
Jordan, don't you come up in here to start that. Go ahead,
Yes.
Sean.
So they were considered as Jews. As a matter of fact, and this is the thing why, the reason why, like me, I consider myself a Hebrew, but I don't, it's kind of difficult to speak because nobody, like I can't deal with the bad history and everything like that. But
Yes.
as far as the Jews, so the Edomites from Idumea, they were encroaching on Simeon's lot, which is the southern part of Judah. This was during the time of King Hyrcanus. He was a Jewish king. Well, I don't like to use the word Jewish because they were a Levite family from the Judah Maccabees family.
Yes.
And he forcefully converted when he conquered them, he forcefully converted Idumea. So those people were Jews also. So not only that, during the time of, which would be around the time of the Second Temple period, a lot of the Jews that were in Judea there were a lot of converts. You had the Edomian converts, you had converts, because if you look into in the Old Testament, in the passages where they was talking about the during the Persian captivity, it talks about that whole Mordecai story. Is said afterwards to talk about that there was a large conversion process that happened afterwards. And prior to the people going into the land, remember these people were coming out of Persia, to the point that you even see certain Persian philosophies from Zoroastrian popping up into some into first century works. So, but as far as where the Jews fleeing into Rome, well, after 70 AD, they were the Romans started a slave trade in Jerusalem and started selling these people all over the Mediterranean. They were selling them into Southern Europe, all the way up into Spain, and in North Africa also. That's why later on you also had but at the time during the time of the Second Temple, most of the Jews were actually not living in Jerusalem. Most of the Jews, there was actually more Jews in Egypt and
Alexandria and stuff. Yeah.
Right, Egypt and the next place over. Is that is it Libya? I think it is. Like right next to Egypt.
Yeah.
They call it Cyrenaica.
Libya, Syria.
Cyrenaica, and then the next. So there were actually more Jews living in that area, and a lot of those Jews were the descendants of the Jews that went down with get this, Alexandria's army to help to take over Egypt. But there was also a lot of Jews that were living in the Paul used to call the place Antioch, but the place that he's talking about is really it's called Edessa. Josephus called it Adiabene, where it talks about the Adiabenian monarchs. It was ran by a guy named Abgar the Black. They said that there's those people were ran up on also. I'm talking about by the Romans. The Romans attacked that place too, because it had a large Jewish population, and those people ended up rebelling also during the Bar Kokhba revolt. That's when.
No, listen, because I'm trying to see where you're going. Was there? You saying prior to Babylonian captivity, they went and they were all black. Is that fair to say? And then after Ezra and them, Second Temple period, when conversions and all the Maccabean period, all of that stuff, that's where the beef came, all of that stuff right before John the Baptist came on the scene?
Okay, I don't want to use the word black, right? Because the reason why, because etymologically, that's a horrible word for even us to call ourselves, because even like in the Dead Sea Scrolls,
African, you could be black and not Hebrew. Black covers a good bit of people because it's confusion. Is that why you don't want to use it?
No, it's because of the when you're dealing with Hebrew roots, like the Hebrew roots BL, Bala, like that is the term that the Essenes in the Dead Sea Scrolls, they use that term to when they talk about the entity that what we would call like Satan today, but they use it as a term. So when you say Bala, right, right. But it means like to be lazy and wasteful, and it has all of these different meanings which is crazy that's what they call black people.
Yes.
And so I'm a little turned off by the word, but I would say yes, they were melanated people, heavily melanated people. As a matter of fact, speaking of first century writings as compared to the Talmud, what is the commentaries that they wrote on the Old Testament? What are those called? I know some of you Hebrew brothers know. Oh, I forgot the name of the book, but it's like these commentaries that they used to write on the Old Testament. And there was one that was written in Babylon, and that was the Jerusalem. What is it?
The Talmud.
No, not the Talmud.
Targums.
The Targums, right?
The Targums, yeah, okay.
Right. So and those were written in the first century. And if you had the not the Onkelos or whatever, not that one. It was I think it's the Jerusalem Targums that when you like they describe themselves as being black in that book, even
But
though
what
in
does
the
that mean? That's what I'm saying. What does that mean when they describe this? I'm scratching my head. If somebody described them, you say heavily melanated. Everybody that's heavily melanated is a Hebrew. Everybody that's heavily melanated in America would be considered black. I'm asking you because I'm trying to figure something out.
no, well, I don't believe it in that way. So the way I believe it is that, well, number one, during the time of Jeremiah, during the first Babylonian captivity, it says that so the Babylonians took out the nobles of the house of Judah, but it left the regular population, and the regular population, they wanted to go down into Egypt. And of course, God gave them a prophecy. God said, listen, y'all don't go down into Egypt. If y'all go, y'all ain't never going to come back. He had all of these prophecies, told them that they was going to go into slavery, all kind of crazy stuff. They said, nah, they're not trying to hear that. And at the same time, they was worshiping Ishtar, the queen of the heavens. They was like, oh, no, we're not listening. So if you read the book, it says that they took the whole entire house and went down into Egypt, and they took Jeremiah with them. And it was Jeremiah that was prophesying all of these prophecies. God prophesied that those folks would never come back. So you had those people that went into Egypt, one. So those were the first set of people that populated Egypt going into. Then you had when Alexander the Great, you had certain Jews that went into Alexander the Great because they founded the city of Alexandria. Then after the so you had the first revolt, which was in 70 AD. After that, they started selling slaves. But then you also had the second revolt, which was in around 119 AD, which is called the Kitos War. With the Kitos War, they started rebelling in Cyrenaica, in Egypt, all the way down into Ethiopia. So they started this huge rebellion. They killed off a whole lot of Greeks and Romans. The writers was writing about these Jews, talking about how these Jews was killing people and eating people, which was lies and propaganda to kind of like fester more hatred against the Jews, because that was real big. Even Josephus wrote about it. One of the first things Josephus said is that everybody that was writing back then was writing to kind of like, against the Jews, and to big up the Romans. And so you had that in 119, and then afterwards you had the Bar Kokhba revolt, which actually almost brought down the Roman Empire. Because with the Bar Kokhba revolt, when the Roman generals went back to Rome, usually when they went back to Rome, they used to, there was a particular ceremony that they do to show that the empire is secured. When they went back to Rome after the Bar Kokhba, they got whipped so bad during the Bar Kokhba revolt that when they went in, they couldn't even do the ceremony because it looked so, because they got their ass whooped real bad, even though you had a lot of Jews. But then even after that, then you had a lot of them sold off again, because they started the slave trade again, that started trading these people all over the Mediterranean. As far as people escaping, you can look at the communities of Jews that popped up later. So you had Jews that went down into like Yemen, Arabia. You had Jews that went over into Ethiopia. You had Jews that went over into, there was a whole entire region that, if I can remember the quote, upon the Nilus, it was a particular whole entire region in Central Africa, almost from East Africa all the way over into going towards West Africa, that they call under the Roman tongue Judea-Torum, that they said it was the kingdom of the Jews. And these Jews were bragging about how they were free. And I mean, you only do that type of stuff if you were, one of the places where a lot of the Jews were sold was in the gold mines of Egypt. And the gold mines of Egypt were in the Sudan.
This is my thing. When did it become so? All of those that were sold, all of those are all what they would call blacks in America. And that's what this basketball dude and Kanye and them trying to bring out.
Well,
When,
nah, I don't.
when you don't want to say light, black, they doesn't make it a black white thing here. You don't want to say the first century. You don't want to say coming out of captivity before Ezra and them, Nehemiah and them rebuilding Jerusalem, the city of the temple, and all of that stuff. You don't want to say then.
I would use. I prefer to use melanated or the term Negroid. So I would say Negroid. Yes, I would use the term Negroid.
So when did this happen?
The Negroidness.
When did it become a when was there always distinction? Was when Jesus walked around, was he walking around and he know that those are the fake ones, those are the real ones? He was around those people that were masked. How them folk take over the Pharisee, take over the temple? How them folk take over the priesthood?
They did it through King Herod, because what happened was is that when King Herod's father helped Pompey to take over Jerusalem, when King Herod came in, King Herod got rid of the priesthood that was officiating, and he started to get priests from the Antioch region that I was talking about, the Edessa area.
There's no more Levi. You got strangers.
Right, Josephus. Right, exactly. Josephus says that it didn't. It was after then that it didn't matter whether or not the people were ethnic Levites that were supposed to run the temple. So he was just getting people that was in. And one of the Ananias. Ananias, there was a elder Ananias who had at one particular point, he was appointed by the Herodian family, and that's who the Herodians looked to. And he had up to 5 sons that was running the temple. One of his last sons got killed after during the 70 AD revolt when the zealots rebel against the. And the thing about it is, because even with in the Hebrew Israelite community, when they talk about Esau, etc., Herod, I wouldn't say Herod was a white man. Herod was he was an Arab. He was an Arab. He was not white. And,
all right, hold on a minute. Go ahead, Fervor Charity. If you wanted to say anything, because you done butt all in. If you wanted to say anything, or he walked away. All right, fair use.
And what happened to those Jews during that time?
Well, he says that there was a siege of 143 days. So regardless of that exact number, Windsor would still need to tell us where he got the idea that 100 million Jews fled in Africa. My guess is most people would probably say, oh, vocab doesn't know? That's somewhere in Josephus. That'd be my guess is what they would probably say. But let's just say that's correct. Windsor should say that in here. And when we have to, yeah, that's all I'm saying. And then we would want to find out, okay, do we have a reason to think that that's good? Because I don't just discount everything just because it, maybe there is something to it, but it needs to be way more careful. And the problem is with a book like this is it's not very careful. We're talking about the basis of the theory. And we got to remember, people also went into other places. They didn't only go into Africa. And he's not very specific about what he means by that. And then he says the slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. Well, you gotta break that down a little bit. I'm not even saying that's impossible. That's not really what I'm saying. I'm not denying that there couldn't be elements of truth to all this, but I'm saying this is not any way for us to trust what he's writing because we don't have any way to source it or check it. And he's not an eyewitness. He's not quoting an eyewitness, and not even an eyewitness, but maybe a historian who lived later. Because Tacitus, like Josephus, they lived a little bit later. They were closer to the events, obviously, than we were. But just something there, and we just don't really get it with Windsor. And this is a key thing. And there's other parts with this. For example, he'll say on page 85, this is probably one of the. Let me show you this. I'm trying to debate which part I want to get to. Okay, here you go. He quotes here another guy, Grazel, and he says this is from page 86. Such is the explanation of how the Sahara Desert first acquired Jewish tribes. Okay, so he's talking about how there are Jewish tribes in northern Africa, or below even perhaps, toughened by a fighting tradition and possessed of physical characteristics, which it is said still make them approximately very closely the original Jewish population in Palestine. So there's the quote. But I want to show you something here from this Grazel quote, which he quotes Grazel, but he doesn't give us the source for Grazel that I can see. So it's like, okay, where's the source for Grazel, right? But watch what Windsor does. He literally, he inserts in brackets the phrase blacks in there. But let me show you what I mean. I'm going to try to get this close. Do you see the quote there on the screen?
Yeah.
He literally inserts that word in there.
Hold on, let me see. Hold up. Yeah,
It's
in the
page.
quotes, I see it.
Yeah.
It says Jewish tribes toughened by fighting tradition. And what's that word? I can't see it.
And hold on, sorry. And
possessed of physical characteristics.
And then he puts in brackets that.
Right, which it is said. What does the rest say? You can just read it off. You can read the rest of it off for me.
Which it is said will make them approximate very close to the original Jewish population of Palestine. So he's quoting somebody who's saying, hey, look, some of these folks that went into Northern Africa are probably very close to the Jews who were in Palestine before they fled. Okay, that's fair enough. Don't necessarily deny that. But Windsor appears to be the one who inserts this phrase in brackets, not the author. So the author is saying they're probably close to the original population in Palestine. Windsor inserts the word blacks. You can't do that. You can't make the guy make your argument for you, you know?
Well, usually when something is in quotes, it's to emphasize something that's already understood.
No, the brackets indicate an insertion. Brackets are.
Was that a bracket? Was that a bracket or quote?
Yeah. So it's quotes, and then it's a bracket inside the quote. You see, he put it in brackets, but it appears that that's Windsor doing that. So let's see. Does he ever cite Grazel, like what page or anything like that? Okay, Solomon Grazel, A History of the Jews, the Jewish Publication Society of America, 1956. And so he doesn't give a page number, but when you look at Grazel's, when you track down the original source, what you'll find is Grazel didn't put blacks in there. That's why it's in brackets. Windsor put blacks in there. That is not fair. That is not right, because that's not what Grazel is saying. Grazel is just saying they were similar to the population that left. But Windsor just inserts the word blacks in there to try to.
Is vocab making a big thing out of nothing? Or is that serious? Is that serious problems, Dunamis?
That can raise an issue, because now he's making it seem like the original quote is saying that, or interpretation.
Because these folk feel like these Israelites, all these Israelites out here putting out the information, they all liars. That they're liars, they'll twist up, or they don't understand the sources that they're putting out. They're just putting out anything and putting swarthy, black, putting anything in there to make it look like you good American black folk, black Hebrew Israelites. That's the word they use for y'all right here. Y'all are black Hebrew Israelites. Every one of y'all. For you.
It be.
Trying
to make his argument. Do you see? That's why it's in brackets. It's not in the original quote.
I get the point you're making. Another thing I noticed with modern day history, a lot of times that has to be done, because whenever you're reading historical documents, let's say you're reading a document from the 1800s or the 1700s.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when they're describing certain things, they're describing it in an already understood manner. So it's already understood that the people who lived in ancient Palestine were indeed dark-skinned or black people. That was already established and understood. What Windsor is doing is he's putting emphasis on that point by putting that in there. I don't have the actual source from Grazel, right? But I know that that's how modern day history or historians oftentimes do things, as opposed to ancient historians. You'll see that a lot. And like I said, it's already understood that the ancient people of Israel and Palestine were indeed black, dark-skinned people. They were compared to Egyptians.
Hey,
the quote there from Windsor's book, right? Where he quoted Solomon Grazel and then said their characteristics are the same, and then literally inserted into it the word blacks. That's a book called
Brian,
A History of the Jews. Solomon Grazel had a follow-up book to that.
You're muted, Dunamis.
No, Torgler want to say something. I know he's kind of soft because he's at work.
Oh no, I'm sorry. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah. You got the whisper doctrine. Go ahead.
Again, this dude Mark Reiser, he's going around hopping on everybody's videos trying to sound educated, and he's making himself sound the dumbest of the dumbest. First of all, he's asking a scholar who has degrees to get his sources and citations correct, but he won't tell us what edition or revision of his book that he holds. Like I said, you can go on the website, Google yourself. The book's been reprinted by multiple different publishers, and I assume these publishers have hired people with education. Now he's harping on some brackets that he's saying Rudolph Windsor inserted. He shows how ignorant and stupid he is, because an author, once you submit your manuscript, you don't have no say how it's typeset, how it's formatted. So again, he's act like he's some kind of Hebrew scholar. He has some scholarship on the Israelite. He's just a hanger on trying to get clout and cash apps, and he's showing how ignorant he is. Rudolph Windsor didn't have anything to do with how his book was formatted. He submitted his research and his manuscript, and it's out his hands. I just wanted to add that up. The water revive.
Okay. Forever Chatty, you back or you couldn't hear? I know it's Friday. Fair use.
That called A History of the Contemporary Jews, and look who he put. Look at this is the cover of the book. So clearly, the author doesn't think what Windsor had him saying. This is the cover of Solomon Grazel's other book on the history of the Jews.
The history of the contemporary Jews.
Yeah, this is his other work that goes into the modern era. This is the same
from
same
1900 to present. So
yeah, same author, different book. But
these aren't those. That picture on the front of that wouldn't depict the ancient people. That's not a depiction of the ancient people.
I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying that this is. I'm not saying that this is a picture of an ancient Jew or anything. Right. All I'm saying is that the author is not saying what Windsor has him saying, and what Windsor has him saying is that the characteristics. Let me read it again. This is a quote from Grazel by Windsor, except Windsor literally inserts the word blacks into the quote. It's totally, you would not be allowed to do this in academic writing. Watch what he says here. Such is the explanation. This is Grazel being quoted by Windsor. Such is the explanation of how the Sahara Desert first acquired Jewish tribes, toughened by a fighting tradition and possessed of physical characteristics, which, it is said, still make them approximate very closely the original Jewish population of Palestine. End quote. That's the original quote. Windsor puts in brackets the word blacks to try to make his argument. But that's not what Grazel said. And my point by showing this other book by Grazel is not that say I agree with it or anything like that. That my point is to say that that's the picture of a Jew that Grazel had on his book. So he's clearly not saying that the population matched and it was a black population. He's not saying that. Solomon Grazel himself was an Ashkenazi Jew. Do you see what I'm saying?
I get what you said. Go ahead.
Let me. Well, okay. We talking about Grazel and Tacitus, but you know who I'm going to quote? I'm going to quote the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Amos 9:7. Are ye not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel? Saith the Most High.
What that verse mean, y'all? What that verse mean? I hear folk use that. What that verse mean, y'all? That mean the children of Israel, y'all look like, that mean y'all look like, what does that mean? What does that verse mean, y'all? That's all I want to know. Good to see you, Sister Davis. You working? That's what we trying to figure out. But I'm gonna let him talk. Maybe he gonna clear it up.
Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from captive, and the Syrians from Ker?
Right.
That's the Most High.
We're talking about that, and that will refer more so to an ancient reference. If you're dealing with contemporary, you're dealing with more of a present day reference. Mm-hmm. And so my challenge would be the cover that you showed me. That's not the same information. The cover that you showed me and then the actual source that you read is two different sources.
Yeah, no, I noticed it was two different books, but I'm saying it's by the same author. He doesn't, if you look up his earlier book, History of the Jews, most editions don't have people on the cover. They just have words.
Right.
All the editions I can see. But my point is, by saying that, if he's going to have this, it's unfair for Windsor to quote him and then insert a word that Grazel did not include in his original text. But if you're reading Windsor's book and you didn't know that, you wouldn't know that he inserted the word blacks inside the text. You would think it was part of the original text of what Grazel was saying.
Right.
That is dishonest. Well, the book has a lot of stuff like that. And then the reason why I went after this is because you said, well, from Babylon to Timbuktu, it's not a reliable source. I really feel like we've seen that it's not a reliable source. And even that quote, I had to go to the back of the book because it didn't have a footnote or an endnote. I did just find in his bibliography, does he have Grazel mentioned as all anywhere, even though it didn't give a page number, he did have it. So I was able to find it that way, but that's not even the way you're supposed to do it. But Grazel doesn't think clearly, and remember, he himself is an Ashkenazi Jew, that what Windsor is trying to make him say, that's dishonest.
Let me say this to what you're saying.
Hey, wait a minute. Grace and peace. Professional act. What professional act saying? You think the small hat people that control the music and change the music, and they're manipulating y'all? And specifically, not everybody, but they want to do it specifically to black people to continue to hide their identity because it's a long-going struggle from the time of Herod until now. I want to know if that's what you're getting from this right here, Dunamis. That one, type of one, if that's what y'all, type of one, if you agree with that professional act. Is that what you're saying, brother?
Once again, let me see that cover again that you put up.
Sure. Hold on, just let me grab it. That's great. One of Grazel's other books.
All right. So this is a different book, The History of Contemporary Jews.
Yes, I said it was a different book. I'm just saying it's the same author, so we know what he thinks, and he doesn't think. Either way, even if I didn't have this picture, Windsor is still inserting his own word into Grazel's quote, which is dishonest.
Let me say this. All right. Once again, we can have differences on that. My position on that is that he was inserting the obvious. But since you brought up that cover, that's dealing with the contemporary Jews from 1900 to present. And so I could easily take the position and say the source that Windsor quoted from was another source that has nothing to do with what you just showed, because that's contemporary. From 1900 up, moving forward, we're dealing with the history going back.
Yes, but you don't think that that it changed from 1900 forward. You would think that it's still, the people are the people, right?
Well, if you're dealing with 1900. Then you're dealing with another group of people at that time identifying themselves as Jews, Ashkenazi Jews, during that particular time. From that point moving forward.
Okay. Well, I think either way, I hope that we're agreeing that you shouldn't be inserting your own words into other people's quotes.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. But what I do support is elaboration. And so you get what I'm saying? So say, for instance, if you're using a source to write a book or to make a point, and let's say that source is hitting on the point that you're making, but let's say that something you can add to it could elevate or bring more understanding from that quote, as long as you produce the source. But I agree with you. You shouldn't add to or take away from anybody's position. I agree with that 100%.
Does anybody know those brothers that was on there? I'm not familiar with those gentlemen. Anybody know them? All right. Reverend Charlie, you back?
Yeah.
Any words in closing? We'll pick this up. All right, go ahead. But what are your come on, Rusty?
Well, my thoughts is Sean Storm, he laid it down pretty good, man, because I feel like at that point, that's when all that could have took place. When you arguing things like, let's say, Spain and Portugal, or the mulatto Jews, the Jews that came to Africa, you very well possibly could be arguing a Jew indeed, but that Jew also could be a convert. Because as the brother stated, man, we had mass conversion. Josephus said that we had mass conversions in 2nd century BC, not only of Edomites, but also of people of other nations became Jews.
What's wrong? I don't understand. I don't understand what's wrong with mass conversions.
But I'm not saying that the wrong, but hold on. It has to be stated. If it didn't need to be stated, or if it wasn't important, Josephus would have never stated. So if we look into them people for historical facts, and they putting these facts for us to understand the playing field, we got the ball is in the court. So what I'm saying is, if you had mass conversions around that time, even when Rome was taking slaves up into Rome, these people could very well been converts. That's all I'm saying. So it just depends on who you tracing, but we can't deny that's a clear fact in history. That's a truth. But that's not what I just build my premises off of, though. I didn't went to several scriptures in the Bible proving that Christ himself gonna gather the people. So I mean, we believe in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? I thought that would be enough, but that would led me to Josephus, and it just made the case stronger.
Okay, anybody else in closing?
Yeah,
I hate you for the close out.
Let me say this, Berean, thank you for the opportunity to come to your platform. And
yes, brother.
I don't agree with all your positions, and I'm not a Christian, but I'm not one of these all black people are Israelites. There's a lot of poor research and a bunch of false pride going on. And those who quote Josephus, he says it. You can go to Josephus' Antiquity of the Jews, and he has a chapter on the birth of the twins, Esau and Jacob. He says in this paragraph that the twins were alike in every way except the hairiness. Esau came out as a hairy, rough baby. His name in Hebrew doesn't refer to his skin tone, it refers to his hair. Esau is a butchering of a Hebrew word, ashar. Ashar means hair. So Esau is not white. The Edomites are not white.
I don't believe they are.
Well, he ain't talking to you.
I know. I'll just
please show some decorum, some discipline. So, and then you got these crazy maniac Hebrew Israelites who want to prove that Hamashiach is black because Joseph took him to Egypt around black people.
Yes.
But when you study, Edom is below Judah. Edom is deeper in Africa than Judah is. So you got these pseudo scholars making us all look bad with this straight bro doctrine. So Esau is not white. Now has his kingdom been overtook by non-melanated people who have some of his blood? Of course. but it's non-melanated people who have Jacob blood. So I just want to go on record. If no one on your show ever said that, the Edomites, the original Edomites, are not white people. Edom is dark as us, but his kingdom, his bloodline has been diluted. Now I don't know what the purpose of this show was, but I'm gonna land my plane with this. For this Mark Reiser, who wants to be a culture vulture, for him to, I mean, I'm gonna say this to the Israelites, if you don't mind, Berean. Let me say this to the Israelites. Stop entertaining this pseudo scholar. For him to have the audacity to even question a academic work by Rudolph Windsor, who, by the way, let me put some respect on his name. He's Dr. Rudolph Windsor. This Mark Reiser is a dropout from some kind of second-class seminary. So who are you to question his work? And then, because you're ignorant and you don't understand the publishing industry, you're questioning about brackets and different book covers, like the author who writes works have anything to do with the formatting of their book. It just, I mean, you know that old saying, just let a liar talk, and just keep letting these liars talk. And they expose, every time these people go live, and I'm talking about the apologists too, every time they go live, they show how much they don't know. So for any Israelite to even entertain Mark Reiser as some kind of expert on the Bible, it just shows a lack of scholarship on everybody's part. And with that, I just yield. So shalom, shalom, peace and blessings to you, Berean.
All right, appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, bro. Fervent Charity, you wanted who do you think, being brought it up now, I can't let you not touch on it.
Is Esau your brother, Jordan?
Of course.
Come on, do this. Come on.
Of course. I never
You be arguing real hard to tell. Go ahead.
I never said he wasn't my brother. The only thing I tried to argue, look, through scripture, if I could prove, if we can see that the people in the land, we can question them through scripture, that also must mean that a real remnant must be scattered. So that's why I go hard to prove that, because if I prove that, you can, I'm not saying y'all will, but maybe you can kind of start to understand the claim we have here. You see what I'm saying? So
there's no way to in your heart to teach this truth. Listen to what I'm asking in the chat. In your heart to teach this truth, to put it out there 100. You got to be like Kanye and them. You got to, there are fake people, and you got to talk about it if you're going to talk about the whole council. If you're going to talk about the whole truth, right? You got to say there's people that's fake.
I mean, he just said Jewish. He said they Jewish and we're the Jews. He didn't never call them. Did he say that they were fake? Like he said, y'all the Jewish people. We are the Jews though. Like, because that's the thing. Converts are considered Jews. But see, we like let me ask you something. Like I quoted something in Nehemiah the other day. We have an instance in Nehemiah where Israel put off all the strangers to repent to God for the sins of their fathers.
So they repurged themselves after they broke out of captivity.
So
how? But wait a minute.
No,
when
I'm saying we have instances where we have
this ain't making no sense. There wasn't no Pharisees yet. That mass conversion that y'all propagate, that ain't take place yet. After they purged, that took place afterwards. The mass conversion took place afterwards. So it was a conversion, and them people stayed marrying them people, and y'all stayed marrying y'all people, and they stole y'all identity because they was the fake ones marrying within each other. So the fake ones didn't intermarry with the real ones, even though they were converts.
No, see, I use these.
Tell me the story. Take it from the top.
This is confusing. I'm using this principle. Okay, how do you get, let me ask y'all something. Today in Judaism, are they keeping the laws of God perfectly? What they consider to be the laws of God?
No,
are they keeping the laws?
Compared to what your ancestors wrote, and from the rabbis and the writings, you know, and the Talmud, they're doing the best they can from what's accepted.
Well, see, it ain't no such thing as best they can when it comes to the law. Paul told us that you break one, you break all. So let me ask you this:
What? No, what Jordan? Your ancestors. This is what your ancestors said.
But hold on, this the thing though. I'm asking you these questions for a reason. Okay, so we know they're not keeping God's laws, Old Testament considering wise. They're not keeping it as he stated. And they also don't believe in Jesus Christ.
So what that means? You can't.
Hold on. You think like that, but I'm going off scriptures. There's two contempts against God. They rejecting God in two different ways. I don't care how y'all see it. So what I'm gonna say is, how in the heck do you get all these things that they got? How do you get all these things that God promised he wouldn't give you if you reject him? I never understand it. And y'all don't break it down.
If he turned them over, if he turned them folk over, would you be expecting them to know who Messiah is if he turned them over?
No, look.
If there's a blindness that's come upon them, I'm a little.
But there's too many scriptures in the Bible that's talking about when Shiloh come. What Shiloh gonna do? It's not gonna be of their own might. We got in Zephaniah chapter 3, it says, Zephaniah said, wait on thee, the Lord. That's what I'm saying. I can read the whole chapter Zephaniah 3. That's what he's telling them. Because when they rose early, what they do? They corrupt. That's what I'm saying. So we to wait on Christ, and Christ gonna glorify us among these heathen, which means we can't be in the land if we still scattered. People, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to make the Bible make sense. And when y'all try to bring up, like, okay, for instance, Zechariah 14. So I had to do some digging on that. But in light of how G-Con understand that, it's too many contradictions. So we got to think in light of text and in prophecies. We got a prophecy in Genesis 49. I forgot the specific verse of Jacob prophesying to Judah and saying that they're going to be scattered and they're going to be divided and it's going to be Shiloh to gather the people. So if these people over here claiming that they the tribe of Judah, where the heck is Shiloh? That's what I'm saying, man. Well, I mean, people ain't really asking themselves these questions, though. But I don't know if because y'all don't take them things literal or none of that. Just like Shiloh has to be here in Zechariah 14 for him to call the nation down to the valley. Because we see in Joel 3 that he said upon his return, he going to assemble the outcasts of Israel and Jacob. And then he going to call the nations to the valley of Jehoshaphat. That's what I'm saying, man. The Bible don't contradict itself. So if we got things that going against other scriptures, man, it must be a contradiction we have. That's all I'm saying.
So, Jordan, with that, you saw the Corey video the other day?
Yeah, I seen the Corey video the other day.
With Romans 9?
Yeah.
And how that Paul, we can say, prophesied what he saw. What he saw was that their hearts will be hardened and they won't accept the truth of Christ. Is that how you interpret Romans 9? That those who are Israelites will reject Christ, or they'll reject their identity?
Well, look here. I'm going to say it like this, man. We got a mass rejection of Christ in the black community.
Look, what the scripture does say, the great falling away.
Hold on. Look, just because people honor his name with his mouth, their hearts can be very far from him, man. So that's what I'm saying. Like, let's just stop playing these games. Just because them people openly reject Christ don't mean it can be another people that doesn't openly reject Christ. That's all I'm saying. Cause I mean, just keep the playing field evil. Just because them people make it open that they do that could be a top in the ball, man. We reject Christ too over here on the mass, and you seeing it every day. The same thing Kanye talking about, that stuff growing. But y'all ain't doing nothing about that, man. I'm gonna just put it like this. I feel
Jordan,
Huh?
No, I want to hear what you just feel like what?
I feel like we as the black community, look, when I say this, please, my brothers and sisters, don't get me wrong, because I love the church, man. I have no beef against the church, man. I really don't, man. I believe the Christianity is important to us, no matter if you consider yourself an Israelite or not. But at the same time, I believe we lost our power. We lost our power with integration. Because when nobody just screaming Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Prior to integration, we had action. We had action along with that. We had brotherly love. We had structure. We had family. We didn't let people corrupt our music. Why? Because we couldn't even make music with them people, man. We had people like Motown and stuff that had to come up because of things like that. But when we start mixing and mingling, so hold on, let me say this. I don't want y'all to get this wrong too. Thou shalt not envy our enemies. I ain't said hate your enemies, because we know we're supposed to love our enemies, but at the same time, it was written not to envy your enemies. Because when you become like these people, you lose the purpose of God, bro. And that's exactly what happened to us. And you can see the proof in the pudding. We was better off. We was better as a people then. Look where we at today, though. All off the influence of coming together and wanting to be equal with these people that never cared nothing about you. And I ain't putting all the blame on them. I'm not putting the fault on them. I put that fault on us. I put all that fault on us.
Well, he done said a mouthful there. I'm waiting for the comments. Go ahead, Dunamis.
Yeah, no, but Jordan, with that, right? From the time of Paul, when he wrote Romans 9, in the Jewish community, do we see increase of rejection or a decrease in rejection of Christ?
You heard him most excellent. People just like Jordan done told y'all. Go ahead, Jordan. Don't stop now. You don't put your foot in your mouth now. Go ahead, Kanye.
I'm finna speak on that though, but like, it's just the prior instance, man. The church was out here fighting for a cause, man. You can see the church more active within their community prior to their integration too, man. We dispersed now. That's what I'm saying, man. I don't think people looking at it on a bigger scale. And to speak what you talking about, doing this, I understand what you saying, but look, man, you got, okay, in light of that, I'm gonna say this too then. You got people out here I guess you asked me, is they supposed to increase in coming to Jesus or decrease? Have they been increasing? Or what you trying to say with that?
I'm trying to say, Jordan, is that in the Israelite community from the time of Paul till now, was there increase? So where the rejection, and in the black community, we're seeing a decline. But Prophet also about there'll be a great falling away, right? So could you see anything with Prophet that goes in terms of what's going on, with not somebody being fake or not, but just not what Scripture's saying?
Well, what I'm saying, I really don't think that. I understand what you're saying, but all I know, the Bible said
I can't remember time putting out the tables. So we just did like 12 manually.
Hello.
Go ahead.
All I know is the Bible said his people gonna be blinded until a time. And I don't know how many believe it, but I believe that time is to be when Christ returns. And
but in Jordan, with that, all I'm saying is that we're seeing. Oh my bad. All I'm saying is that we're seeing a blindness and an increase in terms of folks getting saved.
Because he's trying to say for a large part, black people ain't been accepting Jesus.
No, I didn't say that. I said when we was walking in Jesus like we was prior to integration. No, you can tell that we accept Jesus because we was becoming blessed. But then y'all, we turned ourselves over. We wanted that American dream.
What does that have to do with? What does that have to do with blindness in part? What does that have to do with that passage? If anything, people would say that the small hat people fit that more because they ain't been accepting Jesus and think they still following the Most High Torah.
We didn't accept Jesus till we got to America.
For great God of heaven.
Hold on.
So they
Great
weren't
God of
Africans
heaven.
on the
I'm
continent
saying,
accepting Christ?
no,
in
I
math?
didn't say that, but I'm saying, do we have proofs of slaves getting off that ship accepting Jesus Christ until it was taught here? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm asking y'all. Now be honest with me. Do we have any proof of any slaves getting off the ship worshiping Jesus Christ?
Yeah, it could have been some Christians on there. I'll bring up.
Yeah, but then Jordan was the same argument, right? We can
But
say
I don't
the same thing
understand
with
what
any
that
slave
means.
get on the ships.
I thought he had a good
Judaism,
argument. Jordan sounded crazy right now. Unless I'm not hearing him correctly.
Yeah, I don't think y'all just hearing me correctly, man. I'm not saying there were no Christians in Africa. That's not what I'm saying is.
All right, do me a favor. Just tie it all together. The blindedness, tie it all together with the first statement that you got on here making. Tie that all together with us falling off here as a people in the country and the blindedness that he talking about, the Romans and the small hat people in the country. Make all of it, bring it all together. Because you got applications in your back pocket. You got applications. Anyway, we slice the cake, you got applications. And yeah, light-skinned folk got applications too, folks. They got applications right now. But tell me how make all of that make sense. Because no matter what you're arguing from the text, them folk ain't the people. And we the people.
What I'm saying is blindness led us here. And when we start coming out of blindness, you seen the fruits of that reward. And I say that blindness, that coming out of it got altered doing integration. And that's what I see. And that's what I see. That's when things start rolling downhill.
They're talking to you. They want to know. They want you to.
Jordan saying we need to segregate again because we were way better off. No, we don't need to segregate again, but we need to understand what's true. That's what we need to do. Not telling you to go separate yourself from no people, but denying the truth ain't gonna help neither. You need to understand why something is going on to fix the problem. You see what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. I'm not telling you to go separate yourself from nobody. But for me to understand what happened and what's going on, it can be fixed. And that's all he's sitting up there saying. It can be fixed. And people got a problem with that. And look, don't get me wrong. I don't look at him as no prophet or no high priest or no nothing. I'm just saying people need to take time to think about what some of the things that's really being said, man. That's all I'm saying.
So Jordan, let me ask you this. Your folks from Mississippi, right? They've been there majority of their lives, right?
Yep.
What kind of diet do y'all keep? Did y'all eat kosher? Is there history y'all eating kosher? No pork, no nothing, no seafood? Or is there history y'all just eating whatever? What Israelite history do you have down there in Mississippi?
I don't follow culture, man, because a convert can have the culture they've been converted Jews into since 2nd century BC. He can have every culture of bloodborne Israelite.
What's wrong with a convert again? Once again, what's wrong with a convert?
You keep asking me what's wrong with a convert, but y'all don't want me to really explain.
No,
I don't need culture.
Oh, you rusty.
Look, God said these things gonna be on you for a sign and a wonder. That's the only thing we need to see. If it's for a sign and a wonder, that means it's for somebody to see. If it's a sign and a wonder, he wants you to see it. What you mean what that means? That's what it's for. That's all I need. And by them premises, we fit some of those things. I'm telling y'all, man. God finna shake some things up, man. Watch this, bro. And this ain't look. It's gonna lead back to what it's supposed to be, man. Like, look how we was as a people prior when we really was active in the black church or in the church or wherever y'all want to call it, the church, man. Look how what directions we were heading into, man. But we wanted these things. We had the dreams these other things had, these other people had in their own land. And I mean, I can understand the premises of that or whatever, man, but
But we see the fruit of that reward, man, and it didn't work out for us, man. You start letting these people deal in your affairs, and that's where you get the little hats and all these other problems and situations we had. And that's just how I see it. People can call it madness, blindness, or whatever you want. I'm not telling you to resegregate, but just knowing that truth can fix some things, man, so we can get back to a place in our people where the church was more active within our community. They were more active because we didn't have rights then. But I guess since we got rights now, everything that just went docile. Now we got these other preachers out here teaching our people to kill each other. That's what Kanye mean by as anti-Semitic. He see us as Jews, so it is anti-Semitic. I believe that. That's anti-Semitic. Doggone abortion was the Holocaust. Don't nobody want to talk about that. Don't nobody want to.
So wait a minute. So just like they was putting them on trains and sending them to Auschwitz and all that, and putting them in the gas chamber, that's the same like Planned Parenthood and you selling your baby mama to get a boy. Listen, y'all gonna leave me the hell alone today. I'm not doing it.
African Americans lost 50% of their kids, man. What you talking about? Just
but
like
are
the
they
in the
walking up
Bible,
in
they
there
sold our
voluntarily?
kids to other peoples and wasn't no mice in our hand, bro. That's just a fact. You can't say that didn't happen to our people. There wasn't no curse on our people. Why else we over here serving a whole nother nation? Look, the Holocaust was wrong. That don't have nothing to do on what we went through. And on the premises of what God said, we served another nation. Them people ain't served no another nation, and they doggone near didn't serve no America, bro. They weren't scattered to the four corners of earth. The only thing y'all looking at is North Germany and what happened in North Germany. Jews supposed to be scattered everywhere. We ain't talking about that. We ain't talking about that. We the least in this land, but 50% of our babies dying. We ain't talking about how we the 8th richest people in the face of this planet, but we can't do nothing for ourselves. We ain't got no army. We ain't got no land, no country, no nation. $1.3 million a year when we spend $1.2 trillion back with America. This ain't no emotional doctrine.
Y'all see why his pops shut this talk down in the barbershop? Y'all see why? Go ahead, Dunamis. What's
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry.
No, but Jordan,
go ahead.
So Jordan. So how many orphans and widows and strangers do you take care of or look out for?
Man, I look out for who I can. When someone asks me, I'm gonna give it to them because that's what Christ told me to do. If I got it, I'm gonna share it, bro. That's what he told me to do. See, I'm trying to be the living example where love is. I don't do my best all the time, but that's what I'm trying to do, follow my Savior. So, yeah, I'm going to do those things. I'm not trying to look at on the mass, because, see, that's the thing, man. We always want to leave it up to the church. Every individual in the church makes the church. Everybody in that church should be doing a part of what they can, and that's what we did pre-integration. We helped each other. That's all I'm saying. We was walking in that light. But right now, everybody want to argue against that light because black people don't need unity. Oh, there's more people than black people, even though we get more in disarray. Man, stop it, man.
Hey, so Jordan, with that, what church do you go to, brother? What church are you part of? Because you talking about all the churches there, the community. I live another example.
Look, I belong to Southside Missionary Baptist Church.
You ain't been in there, and you ain't been in there.
Hold on. I ain't been in there. True enough. I ain't been in there in a minute. True enough. But man, that don't stop me from doing what my Christ told me to do. That don't stop me from being out here loving God and loving my neighbor as I love myself. I do that daily, man. Not out here doing all these things that going against the grain. So y'all can try to say because I ain't in church or because I'm doing my part out here. You best believe that. I'm doing my part out here. I ain't got look, man, look. God told me let your deeds be done. Let your deeds be unseen like your Father in heaven is unseen. So I don't have to be.
Wait a minute.
Hold on.
Who blessed you? Scripture now. Go ahead.
Oh, that's a made up scripture.
Yeah, that one made up. Go ahead, brother.
Okay, so if I look, who blesses me? That's who blesses me. So whether I do my deed in the open, I do my deed behind others or behind the assembly, I'm still doing what the Father told me to do. So what's the purpose? I'm in the assembly right now, assembly full of believers. So I mean, I'm saying, what's the purpose? I mean, what y'all saying?
No, John. What I'm saying is that you're saying that the church and the assembly, when we had all that, it's the solution, right? I want to be examples from what you're saying. Before you not going to a assembly steadily.
The church got a problem now, blaming people. All the people start coming to the church, man. Y'all get out there in the streets and go to the people, because the people out here,
nobody's preaching against. Nobody saying nothing against street evangelism, right? No one saying anything against that. All I'm saying is that the message you're proponing in this life, that we need the church, and then even the next life in terms of the assembly with the believers, there's a coming together. But it's a slight contradiction, all that kind of stuff, and how we better community. If we don't attend church ourselves. That's not me saying I got somebody. We need to go to the doctor, but you don't go to the doctor and you got gout. So it's like, what do we do then?
He talking to you, not me.
You said the church do what? I had a phone call.
Going to church is part of the solution, and if I'm not going to church. Right? It raises a contradiction, right?
Right.
So we're like, now I'm saying this is the solution, but I'm not going myself. So then how can I say that's the solution then if I'm not going?
I'm out here where I want the church to meet me at. I'm waiting on y'all.
Wait, hold on. Where you want the church to meet you at? Brother, you supposed to be out there making disciples.
Y'all, that's what God finna bring y'all. That's where y'all finna come. Watch this, man. Telling y'all, man. I'm out here waiting on y'all. When y'all come out here, I'm gonna be part of that building again that y'all saying, since I'm not part of the church because I don't go to the building. I'm still a part of the church. I might forsake the assembly, and I admit that I need the assembly. That's why I be here so much. You see what I'm saying? I admit that, Dunamis, if that's what you want to hear, but I'm saying I'm out here waiting on y'all. That's all I got to say. And I believe the same thing y'all believe, only that I believe I'm Israel.
No, you're never what I want to hear. I'm just saying, forsaking the assembly is a bad thing to do, and it causes getting echo chambers, and it's like we're just doing this by ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And how can I propose we got to do these things, but I'm not doing it myself? That's all I'm saying.
All right, hold on. Come on, brother. Come to the microphone. I thought I put you back. I brought you in and I put you back out. Go ahead.
Hey, Shalom, Bryn. How you guys doing?
We here. Go ahead and read your scripture.
Dunamis, I want to ask you a line of questions, but before I do, hey, Brother Jordan, you're on the money. It's the awakening. It is what it is, but we have to remember not all.
Don't start amping them up. What type of phone you on there today? You ain't on your regular phone.
Listen, it don't matter. Anyways, Reed, I love you, man. Hey,
I'm so matter. He don't sound the same. Go ahead. I'm muting myself.
Hey, I'm so happy, Brian, that you're waking up to the truth. I believe if you in the reincarnation, I believe that you're probably Nicodemus. Nicodemus was a secret disciple. But anyways, Jordan, man, you on the money. Family, we on the money. This is the truth. The Lord is waking us up. But remember, 2/3 of us are going to perish. And let's get the record straight. If anyone were going to die for what they believe in and get locked up in prison, who's going to get thrown in prison first by the FBI? The Israelites or the Christians? It's going to be us because they're going to claim that we're anti-Semitic. So now, Dunamis, I want to ask you a couple questions. The first question is this, all right? Did King David see the future concerning the kingdom of heaven? Yes or no?
Did King David see did he see the future of heaven? The future concerning heaven?
Concerning the kingdom of heaven.
Concerning the kingdom of heaven? You mean like when Christ comes, or what do you mean when you say that?
Correct. Did he see it all? Just like Isaiah, just like the rest of the prophets. Did King David see that? Yes or no? It's a yes or no.
Did he see the kingdom of heaven? I think so. I gotta look back and see what particular you're talking about.
Okay, so then let's get a scripture concerning the kingdom of heaven then. Because what I'm saying is that King David, he saw the Messiah crucified on the cross. Yes or no? He saw that at least. Yes?
Okay, you talking about my Lord and that kind of stuff. Yeah. We can go the Psalms, that kind of stuff. The Messianic.
Okay, so again, I'm going to ask you, Did he see when his son Jesus was going to be sitting on the throne and ruling in the kingdom of heaven? Did he see that?
I gotta think of the psalm. It's not coming to me. But did he see his son David through the Virgin Mary crucified or sitting on the throne? I gotta think of the psalm.
So again, it is a yes or a no.
He can't remember.
Okay, well, the answer is yes. He did see the kingdom of heaven. So my question is, if he saw the kingdom of heaven, he saw the future, he saw his son come back and return and everything. He saw Armageddon, he saw all that. Wouldn't he also see what was going on during the time of the spreading of the gospel, during the time of Paul?
I'm taking it from your interpretation. Yes. So I'm just listening to what you
No,
got to say.
no, not my interpretation. We're going based off of your understanding of the scriptures. If King David saw the future, are you telling me he didn't see the spreading of the gospel and the awakening of Israel and them repenting? The whole thing with Peter, James, John, he didn't see that?
But when you say awakening of the people, are you talking about during the apostolic times, or are you talking about for the transatlantic
Yes,
slave
yes,
times?
it's not hard.
No,
Yes.
brother, 'cause y'all, the term you're using a term, the awakening of his people, right?
His
And
ways are
the awakening for his
plain,
people. Go ahead, brother. What's the scripture?
bro.
He sounded bad. He gonna have to come back. He gonna have to. Oh man, y'all, it's real out here.
Yeah,
What
but
are your thoughts on? Go ahead.
Nah, because I'm trying to see where you're trying to go, because you're asking questions, right? Say yes or no, but already it's a binary situation, right? But then two, he's saying terms like, what do you mean when you say that? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because then folks will say the awakening. The awakening, I've never heard the awakening used for when Christ came the first time with the apostles. The awakening is always used after the transatlantic slave trade. So he's trying to say
But I'm
Christ.
talking about not even that. I'm talking about what say ye on Jordan? I want to know what you in the chat and them got to say about Joe. I'm talking about fervent charity right here. This all Jordan, y'all. This all Jordan. I don't know if he run around here with applications. Now he on this Martin Luther King. What he want us to do? Segregate Malcolm? He on his Khalid Muhammad? What's going on? What's going on here? All in the name of the Bible. All in the name of the awakening. All in the name of the truth.
Hey, Jordan better be careful. They might pay him somebody who's down in Charlottesville.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We got to pick it up. I got another video to play later on, but I'm gonna get out of here. I told Ellen them I was sliding on them. I know they. Let me call the church. Let me go call the church folk right now, because they love me and they riding with me. So I'm just at least call them, tell them I come through there tomorrow. And they beef with him. Same thing you talking about. I'm telling you, I'm under pressure. These folk I'm under pressure. This other dude talking about, yo, I ain't see you in church. You ain't see me in church. Well, you don't see me in church. The cameras be on. I can tell you what pastor was talking about. Oh, now we beefing. We going back. I'm talking about beefing. We'll talk about that later on, though. All right, Joe. All right, Dunamis, you want to say anything in closing? Fervent Charity, we done heard enough from you, but if you want to say something, you my man, you know you could cut on the microphone. But folk got some questions. Matter of fact, before we even leave, do y'all got some questions for Fervent Charity? Do y'all got some questions for Fervent Charity? Because he really trying to, and he be hitting me 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm looking at email. I'm having my phone go. I'm looking down. I'm like, Fervent Charity up thinking late at night. Go ahead, Pastor Green, don't laugh. This ain't funny. This serious business here.
So Jordan, are you gonna boycott the NBA for Kyrie?
Hey, we should.
Hey, yo, you shut your mouth. That's gonna make the whole Israelite. That's a room splitter. Y'all Israelites ain't finna boycott nothing, not even for not no basketball.
So when they painted Black Lives Matter on the floor,
anytime they bring one of us and whoop us like that, man, we should boycott them. Why not? We the reason why these people rich, man. That's just a fact. and we still making them richer. So why not? If you want change in America, man, give up some of y'all favorite what you call give up some of y'all favorite things, man. Just for a little while. That's all it's gonna take.
Just fast. Boycott. You call it a fast. Just fast from the NBA a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. If y'all want real change, they ain't lying about that. You see what I'm saying? And I feel like those that feel like that in the industry, you should boycott it too. Boycott it, man.
Look what Romans said. Romans said,
look, I'm gonna tell y'all the most crazy thing. I don't know if it's true, but was Adidas really started by Nazis?
Yeah,
Adidas?
So let me ask y'all this, man. I don't know if it was point intended, but just the premises and the basis that Adidas dropped that man and all that money they had in that deal and the money that they was making on the premises because he stated that he can't be as Semitic because he a Jew. What type of
he was saying stuff made it sound like he couldn't get dropped. What are you saying? Because we all gave Adidas thousands. Everybody in here done gave Adidas thousands.
Yeah, we did.
Including you, Yolanda. Everybody in here. Go ahead.
We did. I'm just saying how ironic is that though? That Nazis, a company that was started by Nazis dropping this man for saying that he can't be a Semitic because he a Jew. I mean, that's just the craziest that we live in, bro, in this world, man. But y'all ain't got no problem with Adidas itself, though. Why they ain't never try to cancel Adidas knowing that it was started by Nazis? I mean, I'm just saying, man, I think about stuff like that. And that's what crazy to me. People getting up right about this man wearing the White Lives Matter shirt. I'm looking at some of you black people, man. I'm not too happy with y'all neither, man. Because it's just sad, bro. It's sad, man. Y'all need to really sit down and think about what's going on. Think about it before y'all look. My dad always told me to think before I speak. And I might still slip up sometime, but I try to stick to that, man. Y'all need to think, bro. Just think about it. I don't know if he tried to do that. I'm not saying that was his point intended, but I'm just saying if we think about it in light of that, Adidas itself should be counseled. You see what I'm saying? But why you want to counsel us every time we speak a statement like that? Don't make sense.
Hey, so Jordan, so black people drive Maybachs?
No, that's that American dream I told y'all they sold Negroes a long time ago.
No, it's not that. I'm saying there's a German company. So all them German companies who might had a factory or built something during World War II, nobody should use those, right?
I'm saying they should counsel them too.
And then like Toyota, all the Japanese companies that folks use.
You got Jews riding around here riding in them cars though. They ain't got no problem with that.
Toyota, Honda, Toshiba, all them companies that made stuff during World War II, they should be canceled too, right?
Yeah, if them people really got a problem with somebody being anti-Semitic, these people came off y'all hurt for real. We didn't come up off y'all hurt though.
Sound like the only company you should be, the only car you should be driving a Ford. After what Henry Ford wrote with the the International Jew, right?
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I don't care about the materials, Dunamis. You see what I'm saying? I really don't care. All that stuff gonna perish. Ain't no telling what type of cars we're gonna have in the kingdom. You see what I'm saying? I really don't care about none of that. I'm just trying to state the principle. If they got a problem with things like that by a person calling themselves a Jew, why the heck they ain't counseling Adidas? Why they ain't counseling all these car companies that came up off of they hurt? We didn't do nothing to them. All the proof in the pudding, though, what they done to us, and that's all people highlight. That's all they highlight. But we a hate group now. I just seen the book go from $20-something to $2,500 on Amazon. Why? I'm just saying, why are things like this happening? I mean, maybe it's just how I'm thinking. I don't know, but I know God. I know who ain't with that. God ain't with none of that. He ain't with none of that, and all that stuff gonna be exposed.
All right. Green, you gotta close out him. So, John, no, because this is the moments where the church will put on him on. Let's just pray and sing. Man, all right. Man, Jordan.
Hey, we're gonna be back next time. I'm gonna keep the same energy. I'm gonna make sure.
Man, look, look, bro. All I'm saying, y'all gonna protest. Look, do your thing.
You ain't got to protest. You ain't got to do nothing but sit down. That's all we got to do right now. Sit your butt down somewhere. You ain't got to get out in no streets. You ain't got to walk. You ain't got to sit down. You sit down. Man, look, if it was ever a point that we wanted real change and just stop talking about it. See, that's the thing. A lot of people talk, but where the fruit, where the actions? That's what I'm saying. Like, so what I'm saying is you want real change, just sit your butt down somewhere. Sit your butt down for a whole week. Everybody in our community got a problem with something. Sit down. That's all I'm saying. I'm not telling nobody to make no signs. I'm not telling nobody to burn down no houses, no nothing, no protest, no go stand out in front of no building. We got power and don't know it. You don't know it. And you blinded by that, right? If you want to say that. That's a blindness in itself.
So maybe like an economic protest. All black businesses only shut down their business for a month so they can see what's going on. You close up the shop for a week so that way they can feel that intensity.
No, we don't need to start serving each other because that's the problem now. Everything, look, matter of fact, sit your butt down from everything else and get out here and service your community. That's what you need to practice. Practice that. Because, hey, I don't care what you say, man. If you can't fix your problems in-house, how you going to spread that love or show that representation to any other house? You got problems in your own house. Fix your own house. Christ came first. He was trying to fix his own house, and they rejected him. So ain't nothing wrong with looking at your own house, people. Y'all make it like that's something crazy or something, and it's not. If you want to express the biggest love, show the love what you can bring out in your people among you. And I'm pleading to the church to do this because y'all the ones got Christ. I'm not even looking for Israel to understand that because that's what Israel need right now. So that's all I'm saying.
Jordan, read the screen for Dunamis must read the screen for Jordan because Jordan will talk and don't even look, and people have been having questions for him. But
why was Paul, Peter, John, James, all these people considered Christians? I don't understand that question, man. If Jordan is a Christian, why does he align himself with the people based on their race? Because of people that was based on their race had started being called Christians. That's why.
But in Jordan, with a convert, if an Asian man converts, someone from the Orient comes down to Jerusalem during 60 AD and becomes a Jew, he's considered part of the flock. So
look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Blindness. Who are our people as born again believers? Born again believers are my brothers and sisters, but do that leave me permission to dismiss the permissible? Like however many smart words or terms everybody want to hear, man. I don't understand that, bro. I don't understand your logic. Who are our people as born again believers? Yeah, born again believers, my brothers and sisters, but we have a people. What that mean? Let everything else decay? So I guess you're not doing what Christ said, do get out here and spread the gospel to the whole earth. So I'm just supposed to be believers with the believers that believe and forget everything else that's in front of me. Man, that's craziness to me.
But then, Jordan, when have you been locked up for being a believer? Jordan, when have you been locked up for being a believer?
It's coming.
No, it's coming. But there are folks around the world for their faith, locked up, killed, all kinds of stuff, right? Do your prayers go out for them?
I'm still stuck on the Planned Parenthood deal, just like the gas chambers. I'm still stuck on that. But go ahead, I'm slow.
I mean, this is what y'all do. You want to go talk about everybody else. See, look, man, I don't get it, bro. You want to talk. Look, I understand believers all over the world being persecuted, but man, I'm a young black man in America, bro. Why is you talking to me about people over there, man? I don't understand that. I'm not talking from their perspective. I can never tell you what they going through or what they went through. All I can tell you is it's not right. And it's going to be a time that's going to come. We done seen it. You seen the persecution for the last 2 weeks. You seen the persecution all through the 50s when pastors were standing up trying to fight. That's what I'm saying, man. We've been seeing these same persecutions, bro. But you don't want to talk about those persecutions. You want to talk about some people in Arabia. God forgive me for saying it like that, but you want to talk about that, and I don't understand that. That ain't helping us over here. It really ain't.
All right. All right. So do you have any special message in closing, Jordan? Any special message in closing for the people?
Man, all I want to say is, man, I love y'all. And I know I don't want everybody to agree with me, man, but I really see, I'm gonna just leave it at that, man. I love y'all, and we'll talk later.
All right.